Happy Tuesday, everyone. It is good to have you here. Welcome back to Mastermind Academy. Another day, a special day. Like I said, it's Tuesday, second day of the week. It snowed a little bit more today here in Maryland, but today is pretty exciting. We got a little check mark by our name now. We have finally reached the status of Twitch partner. It doesn't really mean all that much, but it's a pretty exciting thing. It's going to provide a few small options that are going to be super helpful to the stream. One, I'm gonna be allowed to push more bitrate now, which is good because I have more reliable internet now. But it's also gonna allow you all to be able to transcode videos as well. So now what that means is Twitch is taking what I'm putting out and it is re-rendering it basically in a number of different resolutions. What's really good about that is that we have people watching from all over, and the 1080p streams can be taxing on some of those connections, and it'll allow you to be able to downscale the video a bit. And for you, because I can push more bitrate, it'll actually make it clear when you do downscale it. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, and it's exciting to be able to reach. It's an accomplishment. It's the next level of something. This is their top level of community building, I guess, on their platform. So it's exciting. It's pretty fun. But yeah, it's the audio setting every now and then was killing me. Yeah, I mean, 100%. Is the audio good right now though? I didn't do any audio pre-check. So let me know if the audio is good right now. But yeah, transcoding should be pretty helpful. I also have I found out a lot of other things that I can do to ensure that the stream is able to be compressed properly and put together nicely. So I might be making some changes to the setup just a little bit, but I do appreciate it. Thanks everybody for coming along for the ride. Like I said, I guess we started the first bootcamp happened in, I want to say August of 2019. Yeah, August of 2019 is when the first bootcamp happened. And so, a little over a year and a half, we made it. So it's pretty exciting for me. But tonight we are back with deCoded, and tonight we're going to be diving into tonight we're going to learn about the concept of scoping. And so this is really functions and scope week. We started diving into some problems today. All we're going to do is learn about scoping. Scoping is going to be something that we're going to be doing constantly, and that you're going to have to worry about constantly, and we'll dive into the concept of it. We'll learn about it, but we'll ultimately tonight just keep going through and working on some problems, because this is kind of the week to kind of just keep getting that seat time, getting our hands on code and talking through some things. But Mike, how are you doing tonight? VA, it's good to see you. Penguin Airlines, again, you're always first. No one can beat you. You're always first. What's up, Excalios? How are you doing today? BPAS, always good to see you. Sir Walter Rich, yeah, great news for sure. What's up, Saiska from DK? Please move to Europe. It's 1 a.m. here. Well, so that's, what's interesting about that is we are going to be trying to do different time zones as well. So there's actually going to be people coming along to kind of help teach some of the other things that we're going to be doing here, just to make sure everyone has access to those things. And I'm only one person, and different time zones is exactly what we are going to be trying to target as well. So yeah, so that's big news today. That's really, really big news today. For anyone who is not familiar, Jeff Bezos has stepped down as CEO at Amazon, which is pretty interesting. And I don't yet know how I feel about this, but one of the reasons why I think it's something that for a company as large as Amazon, and that controls so much of a lot of our daily lives, like Amazon has a big hand in a lot of our daily lives, not just getting packages, but again, the things you're seeing. Twitch is an Amazon company. Their infrastructure, the infrastructure that powers a lot of the websites that you go to, I won't say most of, but a lot of the websites you go to is powered by Amazon. And so it's pretty interesting. There might be some implications for this, from this, but probably not, to be honest. We probably won't see any changes. But it's a pretty wild thing. He said he's gonna take his money and go have a good time on a beach or something somewhere. So it's, can't be mad at him at all about it. But I definitely want to learn more about. I'm gonna keep my eye on that situation for sure. All right, so I'm going to give you a link in a second. There are no slides tonight. Why aren't there any slides tonight? Because you already have the slides from, I think, week 2 or 3, where we went over functions and we kind of understood that scope. We're not gonna need these slides. I'm going to give you a website in a quick second on what that is. and we can go to that website and we can dive straight into the concepts. And maybe we'll pull up the, actually, you know what we'll do? We actually will pull up the slides from the functions and scope section just so we can see it, so we can do a quick refresher and we'll be good. Actually, the link is in there as well. So functions and scope. Again, we already know a lot about this, but function and scope. So pack and reuse. We already know that a function is a reusable block of code that only runs when it's called. Very, very important. I think you all already have that, but we're hammering it home. Reusable block of code that only runs when it is called upon. You can also pass data into a function known as parameters, and you can also return data as a result. Tonight, you're going to understand where scoping comes into these return values and understanding why we have to return things. I think scoping is going to help you understand that a little bit more. People like that can't step down. They need to do something. That 100%, 200%. Yeah, he's not going to be doing nothing for sure, but he's no longer in the role anymore of Amazon, but he'll always be, you know, Amazon Bezos to pretty much everybody. So how do we create a function? We talked about that, just the keyword def in Python or func in Go. We also, there's other language, plenty of other languages, JavaScript, we write it as a function, and the word function in Ruby, I think it's def as well. So a bunch of different ways to declare a function, but each of these languages, functions work very, very similarly. That you can reusable piece of code that only runs when called. Also, usually can take in arguments, and it usually can return different values. The function signature, the way that you set up the function to create it, is going to be different amongst those languages, but the concept of a function exists amongst all of those languages. And the way that we call a function is by name. So once you've given the function the name and the function signature, you call it via its name. What's up, Oolong T Gaming? Good to see you. Welcome. All right. Also remember, when you see those parentheses, think functions, and we talked about the arguments here, which we're going to go over, but this is the data that you can pass into a function to be able to do some processing against and use that to help you return some data. So that's that. Returning is how we get that information out, and that's the super crazy quick refresh of functions. Again, we don't need to spend too much time there because we are going to continuously nonstop write functions every day that we are learning something new here from here on out, even until all the rest of the courses. We will be writing functions every single day, and so you will get hands-on with these, so we don't need to spend too much time on those things. But tonight we're diving into scope. What's up, OG Mr. Snowman? Good to see you. Hope you're having a great night. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. All right, this article is really good. I'll share it with you. I find it to be a good, approachable piece of understanding to scoping, and this one is specifically in Python. The way that different languages handle scoping is different, okay? But it at a high level, the understanding of it is the same, and for the most part, it'll be very similar. So we're gonna focus on this in Python, and then we'll hop into it with Go. But we're not trying to be a pro at memorizing the way scoping works in Python. We're trying to understand the concept of scoping as a whole. Okay, so ignore the namespace for now. It's a great term. We will use it more and more. Again, I want to only focus on the word scoping or scope right now. So what is a scope? This is a very good image, and they call it namespaces here. Right now, these are going to be the scopes. This is going to be the amount of area in which your code covers. It's going to be the amount of space that your code takes up. And so when you are developing your applications, you will have different spaces that your code occupies. So the entire application has one large scope, which would be kind of really, it's not really, but the application in this case is the green bubble. But imagine your application is one big space, and everything is running inside of that entire application that you wrote. All those files and stuff, everything's running inside. But as you get down into each of those individual functions and things, it's going to start to create little bubbles little scoped namespaces or little scope bubbles around there where data is kind of encapsulated, and it may not be available in another bubble of the application. And so we're gonna do some practical stuff through here to figure out what that means and what that looks like. This is not an amazing this is an amazing article to understand scoping and namespaces fairly in depth, but again, specifically with Python, what I like is they have some really good functions in here that kind of mess around with some things, and we can see how that works, and we can see how scoping works differently amongst different coding languages. So we're gonna hop straight into it and dive into some code. Let's hop into, let me get into my server, sandbox. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna set up my SSH config really quick. Actually, this Windows, so I'm not gonna do that. Root at. I think this is where we want to be. This is where I want to be. Or do I want to be in? Let me open up VS Code, because I know we have something there. What's up, Mitchy Poo? How are you doing today? Hello. How you doing, Mitchy Poo? Welcome. Good to have you. Good to see you. What's up, Soga77? Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Ooh, VS Code did not open up. And oh, that's because I'm in the other thing here. Let me just open up VS Code. And let me try to connect to the one that we have set up. I think that's going to give us some different things here. Let's see. Can I do you a favor? Depends on what it is. We'll see. It's, maybe. Retry. Let's try to get back in here. There we go. I think we're in here. Cool. All right, so we're in here, and then this makes more sense because now I can use VS Code to do what we need to do. And Windows SSH config is in C username SSH config. Excellent. That's great. And what's good about that is I think I can also modify it from here. I think I can modify it right from inside of VS Code using the SSH tunneling function that we're using right now. But we might check that out. Perfect. I do need to modify that there. Friend is new to streaming and loves your gaming and these followers. Now, so, Mitchy Poo, I understand you're trying to help your friend out. Usually, we're gonna be over here and we're gonna be raiding people from the Science and Tech channel. So sorry about that. I cannot do that for you. Lana Lux, welcome to the channel with the big raid. Welcome everybody from Lana's channel. Please, everyone, give Lana a shout out. If you've never seen Lana's channel, Lana Lux does some really dope game development full-time, actually, so she's on all the time. I hang out in there all the time. Lana, it was pretty interesting this earlier today. It was kind of funny because you were kind of being kind to your internet provider, but then you were also kind of were shading them a little bit, and then they just cut out on you. I'm glad you were able to get that resolved earlier. But welcome everyone from Lana's channel. Good to have you. Let me give you a shout out. Please give her a follow if you want to see some games being built. She's doing some pretty dope stuff. Let me see. Let's spell it right. Let's get it in there. But definitely a great person to follow here if you're trying to learn and you're just trying to see some cool stuff get built. Amazing community. Good to see everybody over here. I have the best internet service provider. I get it. I have all kinds of problems over here. I just paid Comcast even more money. They were doing me poorly. They were providing poor service, so I paid them more money to hopefully provide me better service. It doesn't make any sense. That's usually not how things work, but when you have a monopoly on this area, at least, it's really my only choice, so that is what I'm doing. But it's good to have you all over here. Thank you so much for the follows, everyone. What's up, Scooter Bro? How are you doing? Soy Pete, good to have you as well. Today we are just going to be doing we're learning about scoping right now in programming, and we're going to be diving into some different katas and coding challenges and stuff. Today we've kind of been picking up on a few skills over the past 5 weeks. This is our 5th week, 5 weeks out of 8, and we've been picking up some base level skills in software engineering and computer science. And now we're starting to just get some seat time and start to touch on all these things and have a good time while we're doing that. So we're just getting started today, and we're going to hop into understanding scope. So where am I at on this server? I'll open up a folder here, deCoded. That'll be great. We'll make a new one in here. Let's just open up this folder right here. What's up, Arky? How you doing today? Thank you so much for the follow. Good to see you. All right, let's get some stuff opened up here. This is week 5, I think. Let's make a new folder for week 5. No, not inside of here. Close this. Week 5, skip a few. Cool. Also in here, we'll make a Go folder. And we will also in here make a Python folder because we will do both. And let's do some of this here. Oh no, put the Python folder in the Go. It's all good. We'll move it around in a second. Let's call this scope.go. And let's go ahead and let's do a little work and understand what we're doing here. What's up, Thug Muffin? Good to see you. Went to Microsoft last Friday and got a 5600X and a 3070. That's dope. Still need to get a 3070 and a 5900X. Yes. So I'm having a quite the. It's not a real dilemma. It's not a real dilemma, but it is a bit of a dilemma. Trying to figure out a few things. I really want to be able to. I really want to be able to have a base canvas, a 4K base canvas. All right, I want to record in 4K. I like to record locally in 4K. Why? Because the YouTube algorithm loves 4K. I put these videos up on YouTube afterwards. It also makes it easier for me to do some manipulation to it, whatever. I want to record in 4K, but ultimately reprocess it to be able to output in 1080p for the stream here. And I have a 3950X, and it can do it. It can do it if the computer is perfectly still and like nothing pops up on the computer, but it hiccups fairly often throughout a 3-hour stream, and it's problematic. I really want to I'm doing everything in my power not to go Threadripper build, to be honest, but I'm doing everything in my power to actually downgrade my, to get rid of the 3090, sell the 3090 and get a Threadripper and get like a 3060 Ti, or even like a 2060 or a 1660 would be completely fine. Yeah, I'm running 3600 megahertz memory. Hopefully that's good to go. I learned so much. I actually think I'm out of, I think one of the biggest problems, I'm out of PCI lanes. That's another reason why I want to go to Threadripper. Yeah, so it's mostly for the PCI lanes. I'm pretty sure I'm out of PCI lanes, but I could be wrong. I think I'm consuming too much PCI bandwidth, because I have a couple of different SSDs in here, and I have a couple capture cards as well, and we'll see. Wait for Zen 3 Threadripper. So I feel like because they announced the Threadripper Pro, they're not gonna come out with Zen 3 Threadripper for a long time, and I feel like I don't really need that. I feel like I don't need Threadripper. Well, I don't know. I feel like I need just a little tiny bit more than what I have now, but yeah. Sully, it is good to see you. I was actually gonna reach out to you because I hadn't seen you in a while and I want to check on you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. All good. Let me know if there's any way I can help, but all good, man. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. I hope everything is okay. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that, for sure. Yeah, capture rate can soak up some PCI. Yeah, because I have 2 4K capture cards. I have 3 capture cards in here. I only use 2 because I've been having so many problems. But yeah, we'll see. I'll figure it out. But the 3080, I had a 3080 for a little while. The 3080 is the sweet spot. I don't recommend anyone getting a 3090. It's pointless. And really, I think the 3060 Ti is the sweet spot, if I'm gonna be 100% honest with you all. For most people who are gaming at 1080p or 1440p, I think 3060 Ti, 3070 is perfect. The 3080 is a beast for sure. I am gaming in 4K though. I'm gaming in 4K now, so the 3090 helps. But yeah, it's all good. All right, Press Combat and Web Dev Discussion Audio Chat. All right, here we go. So let's talk about scoping. Let's talk about the areas where we have different values. So right now, our understanding of code is this. Let's set up a basic Go package main. Let's go ahead and import our FMT. Notice I'm not looking at this keyboard. I'm looking down at the surface, but I'm not looking at the keyboard. Okay, all day today. I'm getting real active about getting good at this typing thing. We'll func main, and let's set up a variable. Let's call it x equals, let's set x equal to 5, okay? X is equal to 5 currently, and you all know that if we simply do a format dot, so you'll see more of those. You'll see more of errors happening with these keys, but if you give me some time, if you stick with me, I'll get good at it eventually. And if we print out x, if we print this out right now, I think we understand what's gonna happen. We're declaring a variable x and we're assigning it the value 5, the integer 5, and then we're printing that thing out. Let's go ahead and run it. And if we run scope.go, we do in fact get the number 5. Great. Right now, this application has it has a couple different levels of scoping, but right now I really don't want to dive into the bigger like built-in function scope, and then inside of that is this main package scope. Right now, the area that this function takes over is kind of the entirety of the application. There's a singular scope right now to this whole thing. We know that now if I try to, so X is here and X is accessible. I'm able to define X and then I'm able to access X. But what if I did something like, what if I did something first? What if I did something like, if I tried to redefine X as something else, there's a reason why I can't do this. Why I can't do X is now equal to 6. This will give me an error. And I'm automatically gonna get a bunch of problems. It says no new variables. And so because X is a thing and it's accessible, it knows that I'm trying to create X again. And it says, hey, this is already available in this scope. You can't recreate this thing. It's already being tracked. You can't do this again, but I can reassign the value of it, okay? If I wanna change this scope, Sully, the love, you didn't have to come in here and provide so much love. Thank you so much for the 50 gifted subs. That is extreme. That is extreme generosity. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for helping out the community. Thank you so much for helping our war on advertisements. Congratulations to everybody who received a sub. You no longer got to see any ads, which is great. All thanks to Sully. Make sure you show Sully your gratitude and your thanks for help, giving you a piece of your life back. That's really what's happening. Sully is giving you a piece of your life back. I really do appreciate that support. It's really going to help me out, honestly. Really helpful. I appreciate that. All right, and so because of that, now I really gotta get on it and really teach you all scope so you really understand it, okay? Because Sully is coming through with the love. I appreciate it. Again, it's also I'm super hyped to know you're doing all right, man. Even if there's some weird things going on, hey, we'll fight through them together. Sully got out of the game stock. Yeah, so again, I'm holding. So full transparency, I pulled out a little bit early when we were up a lot. I pulled out enough to be able to get my initial investment back, because that's the way I believe in investing. So I pulled out enough to get my initial investment back, and now I'm diamond handsing the rest. I don't have that many shares left. I originally came in at like 12 shares or so. I have about 5.5 shares left. I'm diamond handsing it, okay? To be honest with you, we're gonna lose this one. But it's okay. It's okay. We're standing together in solidarity. This is about being strong together, all those things. We like this stock. I'm diamond handsing it. I'm diamond handsing it for sure. The rest of it, for sure. and we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's very interesting, but yeah, I saw the Mark Cuban AMA, and I thought it was it was really good. I thought it was really good. I thought it was very informative, and I like both of the honesty in his answer and the encouragement of like, hey, like basically you all can change the game. You 100%, you've shown them you can change the game, and next time you'll come back smarter. He very clearly told us some of the mistakes that we made, which is great. Got to learn, but we're together. We're together. We like this stock. I'm looking forward to the next run. I'm with you all. And especially with Sully's help. Maybe not gonna be with y'all a little bit more than I was with you all for sure. Hey, no. You got to do what you got to do. Pull out whenever you need to pull out. Like I said, I'm diamond handsing the rest for sure. But it is what it is. It is, do what you got to do. All right. So now let's say one cool way, scoping is defined in a couple different ways. You can create scope in a couple different ways. Scope happens through the creation of new functions. So although we're using X right here, what happens if I create a new function? And down here, I make a new func and I call it print this. Just a random little function here. It doesn't take in anything, doesn't output anything. And I do the same thing. And I define another X equals 6. And I format.println. And I format.println X. And maybe down here, I go ahead and I call that function in the main function. So maybe I call print this. And maybe I run this. Maybe I kick this off and everything is exciting. And notice how that works. So we get 5 and we get 6. Let's take a look at what happened and let's make sure we understand. I did that really fast. Let's make sure that we understand. So the main function, remember for Go in particular, the main function will get run no matter what. So you don't have to call that function because it's a part of the main package. It gets called by default. So the application enters here. It sets X equal to 5. Then it should print out 5. Is that the first thing that gets printed out? Yes, it is. That's what happens. Then it calls the print this function after it prints out that the stuff above it, and print this sets X equal to 6, and then it can print this out. Okay. The reason why we can define a brand new X where we couldn't up here is this has to do with scoping. The namespace for this, the area in which this code is being executed is separate. It's separate from this up here. This is one of the reasons why we have to actually return the data out of it, because this code is a little encapsulated. This function is an encapsulated piece of code and it runs in a different scope. Okay, so it's pretty odd. Well, it's not odd, but it can be interesting and it can be confusing. I don't recommend it if you can avoid it. It can be difficult if you are utilizing the same variables like this. It can be pretty confusing. So even though you can reuse those variables, I do highly recommend changing the variables so that they are unique. It can make it much easier to follow. Have you looked into DLang? I started getting into it. I'm loving it. No, I've never even heard of DLang, but let me look it up. So yes, I have heard of DLang before. I just heard of it as D, and no, I never used it before, but I'll check it out. That's pretty. What do you like about it, Sully? What's interesting about it? I don't mind checking it out. Like I said, this year is my year of software. I'm building. I've already started my process of building some cool things. I'm really diving deep into software this year. It's gonna be pretty exciting. Okay, so there's other ways you can manage scoping in Go as well. So a new function will create an additional scoping layer, but you can also do it in a way like this. So I'm actually going to delete, or at least I'm going to comment out everything down here. And you can also do it using these, using curly braces. Curly braces in Go are how you can are also helpful in specifying scope. So this also works in things like if statements and things like that. Whenever you see these curly braces, these are also creating a new kind of scoping layer. So you can actually do this kind of raw inside of your code like this. I can just open up some stuff right here and I can set X equal to 20. All right. And so if I do this right now, this will fail. This code will fail. there'll be a problem. Why will it fail? The reason why it'll fail, this is a compiled language. And although I'm defining the value of 5 at the top here, when I define this here, this is a valid thing that I can do. I've created a new scope using these curly braces. And when I'm defining this, it's great, but I'm not using it. So if we try to print this out really quick, right underneath, forming that print line, and we print out X here, what are we gonna get? What are we gonna get here? So look at the code. First, we're setting X equal to 5. Then we're creating this new scope, setting X equal to 20. We're printing that out, which will print out 20, and this should print out 5 because this is on a separate scope. So yes, we should get 20 first. All right, the 20 printed out first. So these again are 2 separate pieces of code. Now let's see something else. What happens if I comment that line out and I create this new scope? Does my inner scope, so I'm gonna actually put this here. Does my inner scope have access to what is essentially my outer scope? Let's see what happens if we try to do this. If it does, then when I do format.println X, it will print line, it should print 5, and it'll try to grab that value. Let's see if that works. So yes, all right. As you go further into your scope, so the way that we like to say is the farther left you are on the page, and this is going to work with Python as well. Python a little more specifically because Python uses indentation to determine scope. I use this white space to determine scope, whereas Go, other languages use curly braces and other things to determine your scope. The farther right you are, the farther into the scope you are, the deeper into the scope you are. And generally, the deeper you go, generally the scopes, the inside scopes have access to variables and things that were declared in higher level scopes, okay? But not vice versa. So if we set X up here, and then maybe we try to set, we kept X here, but maybe in here we try to set Y. And we try to set Y equal to 40. And out here, we try to do format dot print line, we try to print line it, and we try to print line Y. Do we have access to this scope? And you probably can already tell that we do not have access to this scope. All right, we don't have access to Y, because Y was created in a scope that the outer scope that no longer has access to, or never did have access to, okay? And this is kind of how it works when you create a new function. This is why you have to return data from a function. Y was created inside of here. It's encapsulated within this little block of code right here, but it is not accessible to what happens outside of it, even though we created it in here. So it is scoping. You will run into scoping issues 100%. It is something you'll run into fairly often, and understanding that code, figuring out where code is available at is very, very, very important. And so you see Y is not available here. It says, hey, it is the error is that undefined Y. I don't know what that is. You tried to call Y, but it is completely undefined as far as I'm concerned. And so we could create scope inside of scope inside of scope, and it would always, as you go deeper in, the outer things that are created in the inner functions, the outer functions to those won't have access to that information. But the farther and deeper you go inside, if there are things that were created on outer scopes, you would have that information. So can we return export somehow? I actually don't. Actually, that's actually a good idea. I don't think. I'm not sure the return keyword works like this. There may be ways to gain access to it, but this is not one. I don't think the way that I'm doing this now, I don't think this is a good use case for. I've never had to create scope in this way. I know you can do it, but I don't know. I wouldn't know how you would get information out of here. I don't know if there's a keyword for it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's a way to do it. I've actually never needed to do this at all. And so but that is how, when you're doing functions, that is how you would do it. And you would just return that data, and returning that data gives you access to that stuff outside of that current scope. Maybe there is a way. If anyone knows, definitely let me know. It's super versatile, can do everything from games to VMs to web applications, servers, has characters to the C++ job. Dope. That's interesting. I do like versatile languages. Do you see how new is it? Do you know how new it is? And do you think that do you think it's on the come up? If you think it's on the come up at all, I'll dive into that. Pretty interesting. Maybe a Facebook notebooks and some larger companies using it in production. That's dope. That's dope. With threading, you have to do something special. I imagine make sure it's on the same thread. Yeah, you make sure it's on the same thread or channel. Yeah, you can create these channels and go these communication threads between. Yeah, you can pass things along the channel. I guess you could do that. Interesting. That might work to be able to pass data in between threads. Possibly. I've been getting into Rust lately after being a big C++ user for years. I do like Rust. I think that for I don't yet know what I would use Rust for. That's my only problem. I personally don't know what I would use Rust for. So I started to dive into it and I was like, okay, do I really want to take this on? And I think if I find something I want to use it for, I would learn it. But I definitely, I definitely think I want to know. I think I know what I want to use Go for. So we'll see. Rust is the new Haskell. Yeah. What's up, Mind Noise? Welcome to the channel. What's up, Suman? Welcome. Fidel Baldi, welcome as well. Malkin CM, it's good to have you. The one, Awesomeo, welcome. Moliendo, IDK, Dog Meat, Schick, good to see you. Barbatu, welcome to the channel as well. It's good to have you all. Sorry I missed those. All right, so this is kind of how scoping works. And again, the deeper and deeper you get into the scope, if I were to create more scopes, the more the access goes away to things that are creating inside of those scopes. Okay, the same thing kind of works with Python. So let's hop into Python and see how that scoping kind of happens. And we can do this exact same thing, but this example page that I gave you gives you some cool things as well. So you can see they're defining whole new functions inside of here, and you can kind of see what has access for nested things. But it works very, very similarly in all of these cases. But the biggest thing to know about scope right now is that you can't, code can be encapsulated into a running space where data may not be available outside of that, and you need to be cognizant of that. Let's say you're putting some code together and you're writing something. You say, hey, I see that I very clearly defined this variable. I declared this variable. It should be assigning a value to it, but when you try to use it, it says it's not available. You should be immediately thinking, hey, is my code written in a way where this piece of code has access to that piece of code? Let me look at the way it's indented. Let me look at the way it's encapsulated. Let me see if it's in a function and I'm not returning any data. You got to figure that out, but it's pretty important to know, because you will run into stuff all the time where it's like, hey, this thing's not defined, and you're like, it is right there. I 100% created it. It's sitting right in front of me. But let's see kind of what this looks like in Python, and we can copy this exact thing. We can also do the exact same thing we just did as well. Well, the thing with Python, this is kind of interesting because it'll allow you to rewrite things anyway, but let's still, it'll be fine. So let's move this Python folder, back one, and cool. In Python, we'll create a scope.py file, and let's get moving on it. Hold on 1 second. Just gotta send this quick message. All right, here we go. Ooh, Python editing completions, the new Pylance extension. They got me. They sold to me. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Pylance is, but let's try it out. Let's click the button. I don't know what Pylance is. From Microsoft, it's in preview. Come on, we're not afraid to preview brand new things. Amazing. So I just run sudo apt install Python. Python's probably already installed. So try typing in Python 3 first. But yes, you could. You probably need to type in Python 3 because it'll allow you to do some, it'll give you the newest version of Python, or at least Python 3. All right, Pylance. Is Pylance a linter? Is that what it is? I didn't even look at what it was. I just installed it because, Highly recommend getting PyM to manage Python distribution to avoid pain. So Basilius, I agree with you. Yeah, I both agree with you and think that using PyM up front without fully understanding what's happening is also, it also causes pain. It's pretty interesting, but I mean, you're right though. You're 100% right. I wouldn't need the ghost stuff right now. Pyland, some performance, feature rich, language support for Python. All right, let's do this. Let's take a look at some scoping in Python. What? All right, so we copied and pasted what was there. Let's take a look at what the code is. var1 equals 5. So we made a variable here. var1, it's equals to 5. Then we have a function here, def sum function. We've created a new scope of work from the main scope, and it's a function called sumfunc. And it says, hey, var2 is in the local namespace. So var2 right now is in the sumfunc namespace, but it is not accessible globally. And we can see that in a little bit. Remember, Python relies on white space for its formatting and for its scoping. So every time you see these indents in here, you're really at a new scope. You're on a new scoping level. That's how you can visually see that with Python. Everything to the left is what's called the global namespace. And so, everything created there can be accessed anywhere. But as you kind of get deeper in, var2 that's defined right here is defined to the local namespace of this sum function. And if you go deeper in, var3 is only accessible here. So if we go back up to the global namespace, which is not indented at all, it's the farthest you can get to the left, and we attempt to print var2 or print var3. I did not mean to do that. And actually, that's how I know that VS Code has been updated. That shouldn't have worked. This is problematic, actually. So what I just did, that actually makes me upset, actually, because now I got to change. I actually have to change my muscle memory now. So for Vim, right now I have Vim key bindings enabled in my VS Code. The way that I exit Vim is Shift ZZ. That will save and it will quit the file, it'll close out the file. Shift ZZ used to not work with Vim key bindings in VS Code, okay? So capital ZZ used to didn't work in the key bindings for VS Code, but, thank you. You okay? But it does now. And so what I just did is my muscle memory said, hey, I want to get out of it, because usually in Vim, I would go out of it and run it from the command line because I don't like using, well, yeah, that's what I would do. Right now, I don't want to do that. And so when I did it, it closed. So now I got to start using :W, which is a little bit whack, but you can already see that there's a problem. You can already see that it doesn't like that I did this. There's, all these underlines. It doesn't like what we're doing here. And if I go into the Python directory and I type in Python, whatever we called Python 3, scope.py, not Python, Python is what we want. And it says, hey, line 10, var2 is not defined. So right on line 10, it says the var2 that was created here is not defined. So this is simply a scoping problem. You need to pay attention to where this is. What's up, Crystallized Code? Oh, she's out of the room now. She brought me some water because she is my savior, and she knows that I will die because I don't drink enough water, even though she encourages me to drink lots of water every single day because, she's the nutrition expert in the family, and she's getting her master's in it, and she's smarter than me, and she says, hey, you should drink your water. And then every single night, every single day, I don't drink enough water, and then it's time to stream, and she's like, you need water, don't you? And I'm like, I do, please, before I die of being parched. And then she helps me out. So got a little water now. I needed it. It was right on time. Not gonna lie, that was heaven right there. Heaven. What's up, Martini Soft? Welcome to the channel. Good to have you. Come on, everybody, in from Martini Soft channel. Just learning a little bit about scoping, and then we're about to dive into some katas, to be 100% honest. We're gonna dive straight into some challenges and katas, but welcome. Good to have you. Come on in. I'm addicted to water. I actually drink too much. So the thing is, I'm not someone who dislikes water. I'm not someone who's like, oh, I don't like the taste of water. Like, I love water. I genuinely love water. I think the problem is I just get caught up in the day, and like I'll go get a glass here, a glass there when I'm really thirsty. But you know, I don't know. And this is I don't know if she can hear me right now, but this is also a little bit of her fault. Is the idea of eating food without drinking while you're eating it used to be absurd to me. It used to be the most ridiculous concept I'd ever heard of. I would, during meals, like I would be scarfing down, I would be just pouring water or whatever beverage I had available to me, that like I used it to consume whatever I was eating. And then, you know, she doesn't do that. She didn't do that. She's telling me how, you know, hey, it dilutes some of the foods you're eating. You might not get all the nutrients. You might not absorb all the nutrients the same and all this other stuff. And she'll eat all of her food and then drink afterwards. And now I caught myself doing the same thing. And so like, I don't get the same intake that I used to get. And you know, she changed my ways, which hopefully is, I'm getting more bang for my buck with the food that I eat, I hope. But you know, it is what it is. Here for the scope refresher. Spent 2 hours cursing my machine the other day when a counter variable wouldn't update. 100%. That is a perfect real world use case of when scoping is very, very problematic. When you create some type of counter variable, let's say we had this function right here, and maybe we tried, instead of var2, maybe we were trying to do a counter right here, and we set up a counter variable that we wanted to use for a loop that we were going to run. And maybe down here, we were gonna start a while loop, and we're gonna say while, well, this would work actually. We would say while counter equals, while counter's less than, 100, we'll go ahead and do the thing. Now this would work. Why would this work? This would work just fine. It would run however many times. If we want to print to 100 really quick and delete this. And we want to print to 100, and we call, oh, actually check this out. I didn't realize, I forgot these were nested functions. Let's see how this works when we call these different things. Okay, so right now, what happens if I call some func? And then maybe in here I try to, counter plus equals 1. All right, maybe let's check this out. And already we're getting a little thing. Counter is unbound. Pylance report. It's like, hey, you can't do anything that, you can't do this. This is not a thing that you can do. It's unbound. It's problematic right now. And so, again, actually, hold on. Counter literal equals 0. Counter, while counter is less than 100. Counter plus equals 1. Actually, counter unbound, what does report unbound variable? You're not calling the function. I'm gonna call the function right now. Oh, I'm never actually calling it. That makes sense. But if I call some func, all right, so first let's check out this. Let's see what happens when I call this. You probably haven't seen yet. We're talking about functions. We haven't showed any nested functions yet. So a nested function, we also haven't done any nested loops. So maybe we'll do some nested loops tonight too. But some func is this, and inside of some func is another function, but aside from that, nothing really happens. So let's see what happens when we run this. Luckily, Python will probably let us run this, and nothing happens, right? Nothing happens because we're not running. We're not doing anything with this function. Remember, functions only run when they're called by name, and you can see how it's not highlighted like everything else is. It's saying, hey, this thing is here, but it is not being called. And then, what's up, Marco? It's good to see you. How are you doing today? Welcome. Good to have you in here. So let's call this function. What happens if we try to call some inner func up here? What if we try to call this function here? Can we do that? Can we do it? And if we try to run that here, you can, again, the linter, the system is already it's giving us all the key hints that we already have in here. And no, it's not gonna let us do this thing because Python specifically, this is called, I'm calling this before I have created it. I'm calling the function before I've declared it, so it cannot run. This, scoping works, well, this kind of paradigm works a little bit differently with compiled languages. And so, you know, you may, depending on how you have it set up, you may be able to run it using Go. What's happening here? Let's copy it. We can go down here and call it after it's declared, but take a look at where we're calling this. This is the function scope. This is a new function scope right here, but notice where this is. This is lined up a singular indent with everything else here. So this is actually in the local namespace for some func, and we're calling some inner func here. So this is one of the reasons why I don't like Python. I like Python a lot, but one of the reasons why I don't like Python is I think utilizing white space for scoping can be very confusing. Luckily, we have text editors that kind of help us and show you, you know, I can see this line right here, so I can see where things are, but it can be a little bit confusing to stare at and look at. But because Python is interpreted, it's kind of, you know, taking the code line by line, basically. That is why you must declare it before you call it. And let's do that. And we got a problem. Local variable counter referenced before assignment. And so take a look at what line it's on. It says, hey, you know, scope line 8. I can't figure it out at all. I don't know what's going on here. And it's saying, hey, I cannot use, it's referenced before you've assigned anything to it, even though we've called it, up here. Okay, so just be clear. Right, again, it's saying, hey, this local variable, I don't have anything locally scoped here. So if we move this down, we move it down to the right scope, we can now go ahead and we can run this thing. All right, we now have access to run it. I don't know why I told it to print 100 every time. Maybe I should just tell it to print counter, because that's our counter using this while loop. And now, because this code is all scoped to this function right here, we can go ahead and we can use this thing. Because it's a function, this works a little differently than what we saw in the previous example, because this is a function. And we could have, to use this counter, how could we have used that counter? Let's actually see how we could have used the counter. How could you have done it? The way that you could have done it was to pass this data in to this function, to get it into the scope of this function here. And so we could have passed in, you know, just passed in counter, okay? And whenever we call some func, we have to call it in with a value to start with. And this also would work. Oh, whoops, not some func. We'd have to call in counter. Sorry. Now we can pass counter in, and this will still work for us. Phenomenal. Wait, why is it doing this? Because again, I did it again. Let's print out counter instead. All right. I didn't save it. There we go. And now it'll print up to 100 now. So you can do that. You gotta know to pass the data around. So before we were like, hey, how can we get the data out of there? How can we get data into another scope? Returns and passing data in. Again, utilizing these functions will help you be able to pass that data around easier. That's why functions are so important. And to modularize your code, you can take the data and you can pass it around and get it into different scopes by passing around via parameters or via returns to get it in and out. What programming stream is your specialty? So right now we're doing Python. I mean, interestingly enough, because I don't, my specialty is probably things that are outside of programming. Again, cloud, DevOps, you know, some of the stuff we're doing tomorrow, CI/CD, if you want to dive into some CI pipelining with, again, it's probably going to be GitHub Actions. We should do GitHub Actions because that's going to be the most applicable to everyone, and the concepts are immediately useful across the board. But I have the least experience with GitHub Actions, and every time I dive into it, I find things to be a bit problematic. But it's all you know, it's all okay. We make it work. But yeah. So what is var1? var1 is just a variable that is a part of the global scope. We didn't use it at all in our little example here. We copied and pasted this example from a website, and they had it in there. We don't actually need it in here for our functionality. But could we, you know, let's like, you know, is var1 available? Did we check if it's available anywhere else? Like, can I print var1 here? Is that something I can do? Yeah, it looks like I can do that. Can I do it here? Let's say I try to do it here. Yeah, it looks like I can do it there too. Why could I do that? And you can see at the very top, it would have printed out 5 twice to start. Whenever we called it, it probably would have printed out at weird times. Scroll up. Yeah, print out 5 twice first. Why? Yes, it is because it's a global variable. It is set up in the global scope up here. Okay. Now, if we deleted this, actually check this out. Let's not count to 100. Let's count to 5. Let's count to 10, 5. But let's, we have var1 set up there. Remember, variables can change. What happens now? We already know it's accessible down low. What happens if I change var1 to something like 679? All right, what if I change it now to 679 and I try to print it out var1 to 679? What happens in this case? Will it print out at all? And let's run it and see. And we see that it prints out 679 at least once, which we expected. And yeah, so now when we did it, it did actually change it to 679 when we did print it out. So the underlying value of this did in fact change, and it has access. Why? Because this is a global variable, which means this had access to it. So it changed the global variable. This is still referencing the global variable. So it is taking the 679 right out of there. And it is, it's working. Posted a beginner friendly coding challenge in Discord. If anyone's interested, would really like to get the channel popping off. Dope. Which channel? That's dope. I appreciate that. Private function in Python? I don't know. Let's see. Private methods in Python. Yeah. So where you encapsulate, yeah. Oh, I guess so. Private methods. I'm assuming that means you can also just create it privately. Private function. Yeah, with the underscore. I thought that made it. I thought the underscore made it. I don't remember what I thought the underscore did. But yeah. Oh, double underscore. Okay, private method. Yeah, it does. And that's with the double underscore. I don't know if you can use that outside of a class. Not sure. But we'll see. It's a private method. Yeah, I'm not sure we can use it outside of a class, but looks like we may be able to. Looks like we may be able to create private functions, which is a method's a function. Private method, class private. Yeah, it might only be able to be encapsulated within a class. Cool. All right. So now that we honestly, now that we've talked about scoping at least, and now that you at the very least know that if you're expecting that there are situations, whoa, what happened? Okay, there we go. Now that you know there are situations where you may not have access to the code, and that can be because of the scope in which it is being created and run at. You can now, you now kind of have all the basic tools to be able to begin to go through basic, these are the kind of all the core skills that you need to start to go through basic programming problems. It really is. You can get through with the knowledge that we learned so far. You will not be amazing, but you can get surprisingly far off of the topics that we've already covered. And so we're gonna go through in a second and do some challenges. What does enumerate mean? This is great. So I assume you're asking that because it's I'm assuming you're asking specifically about Python. What enumerate does is in a for each loop in Python, and let's actually, maybe we can show you an example with this real quick. In a for each loop in Python, it references the object, it references the item itself, but not the index. So what enumerate does is enumerate basically returns a tuple, which is a unchangeable kind of list, an immutable list of things that has the value and the index attached to it. And I will show you that in a second. What's up, the Common Code 1, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. Also the Grunge, welcome. King Brown Kid, welcome to the channel. Lil X, good to have you. Lazy Boy, welcome. Come on in. Tackleberry, good to have you. Hesitant Hedgehog, I love it. Good, you always have such good names. Bulgarian Feta, that's cheese jokes are often funny. What's up, Dorico? I think I got it. Good to have you all here. What's up, Max Bot TTV? Welcome, Swaggy Bras. Also good to have you. Chimitas 96. Welcome to the channel. It's good to have you all. You caught us on a good night where we're just having a little fun. So all we're doing tonight is we're focusing on understanding functions and scoping in programming languages a little bit more. Now we're simply about to hop into some challenge problems. We're going to start off with some very basic challenge problems. And again, we're just getting seat time. If you're new here, we're in week 5 of an 8-week boot camp. It's 2 days a week where we are learning the basics of computer science, of software engineering and computer science. And so we're just picking up the basic tools that we need to get started and to really understand what's going on. We're focusing on a statically typed compiled language, which is Go. And we're also focusing on an interpreted dynamic language, which is Python. And we're about to do some stuff. Through nodes in this bootcamp, what are nodes? I'm not sure I understand what nodes means in this context. So maybe not, but I'm not sure what that is. If it's Python, that's not basic. Pun intended. Yes. I'm stronger than I am in Go than I am in. Yeah, I mean, it's dope. Channel, will you be starting a new bootcamp after this one? Nesting dolls, yes. So these boot camps go up on YouTube. If you !YouTube, there are playlists for these boot camps. Yeah, we will be starting new ones, but they work there's various levels of them. Right now, we're in the apprentice level of 3 different boot camps. We're running 3 boot camps right now. We're in the apprentice level of them. We will be moving on to, we'll be starting a brand new apprentice level 1. Apprentice level courses are 8 weeks in design to get you in and comfortable coming in from the ground. And then we move into a journeyman level, which is intermediate, and then a master level, which is also 8 weeks, which is the most advanced course. So we're gonna hop up to the intermediate level a little bit later, and we're gonna be starting at least one new apprentice level 1 the next time we start over. We also have some other stuff, some shorter specific courses if you want to learn things like Docker or Kubernetes or Git or Linux specifically, or Terraform. We have a bunch of things called excursions that are shorter that are actually coming up really soon. I need to put out some information about them because they're going to be coming up in a couple weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks. They'll be coming up. All right. So let's dive into, the Terraform one is called Hoist. If you go to the Grunge, if you go to academy.mastermind.io, I need to just make a little website command. If you head there, you can kind of see what we do. So there's journeys and excursions at the top of that link, at the top of that website. And if you click on it, it'll take you through some of those and you can see some of the stuff that's already created. There's more and more stuff. There's more and more stuff on there. Yes, the Harvard CS50. I shared it in Google Classroom last time. I don't know if I shared it this time. The Harvard CS50 it's so good. It's really, really good to kind of help you understand the basics of computer science. So it's a class from Harvard that they've opened up to the world to get you in. It's on YouTube, and you can actually take it live. I think you can actually survey the course like live throughout the semester if you want as well. It's phenomenal. It's so good. It's really, really good. I highly encourage all of you to take it. edX offers it. Yeah, if you can find it, share it in the Discord if you're in the Discord or wherever. Perfect. There we go, Sully. It's pretty darn good. I have taken it. It's phenomenal. Super helpful. All right, so let's hop into some let's hop into some stuff. So again, I don't necessarily, coding challenges and coding problems. Everyone gets all worked up and gets these algorithmic problem solving puzzles and stuff. Everyone gets all up in arms about those things and worked up over those things. One, I want to be very clear. They're designed to do a couple different things. They're specific scenarios designed to help you whip out the tools that you have and to be able to utilize tools you may not use all that often. When you are programming for a specific task, when you're building something, you are not going to use most of the things that you have learned. And so you're not always going to use many of the things that you know that you have in your tool belt. One of the reasons why it's so difficult, why these coding challenges and things are so annoying, and like why you actually have to practice them, is because the way that you have to think to solve them is a little bit different than the way that you generally have to think to solve kind of real world problems, in my experience at least. Maybe you have a role where you really are solving problems that are directly, they're very algorithmic, and you're thinking in the same mindset. But I find it to be a related but different skill set. That's why when people go to people who've been in the industry for a long time and they're trying to get jobs at like Google or one of the FANG companies, Facebook, all that other stuff, they spend a specific amount of time going back and studying doing algorithmic problem solving, and really diving into remember how to do these things, because it's a little bit of a different skill set, but it is very good to utilize when you are first learning how to code, to be able to begin to use your tools. Again, seed time so important, and touching the things and doing something with it is super important. But as I think I've said it before, I really do despise, like, when you ask me, what projects can I do to kind of get up to speed? I will never tell you, I will not tell you, find something you're passionate about, that's a problem you want to solve, and do that thing. Couple of reasons why I'm not going to tell you that. One, that is incredibly difficult to do, because you don't yet know the scope of what kind of problems you can solve with code. You don't have the context behind knowing what code can do or how to use it to solve a real problem. So I find that to be a weird answer to the question of what problems can I do, what problems can I practice to get better at this thing. Yes, I do think the way to learn how to code to get better at code is to do projects. It is to do projects, but it's very difficult to know what projects to do. I think the interesting thing about these kata sites and these coding challenges is that the scope of the problem is so small. It is, hey, I've given you the exact thing that you got to do here. I've given you everything to do right here, and I need you to go figure this thing out. And I think in the beginning, this is super helpful. So I've introduced you to exorcism, and we might hop on and do an exorcism problem tonight. I don't know, maybe. I want to introduce you to Code Wars as well, or let me see. I think it's called Code Wars. Just to get you introduced to a couple of different sites, and we're just gonna go through and we're gonna do some different stuff. So, Code Wars, yeah. So, Code Wars. The name Code Wars, it may make it sound very intimidating. It's the same thing like exorcism. It just has problems for you to solve. The one thing I do like and don't like about Code Wars is you are doing it in their editor. Right, their editor is pretty good, but I think that's part of the reason why I like exorcism, is that you have to do everything locally, and it starts to get you hands-on. Again, you might have to do some Linux commands. You might have to, might have to figure out where files and stuff are, and so you got to focus on a little bit more. But I think it's pretty cool. I wanted to ask what scope is. Oh yeah, so we talked about, we hopped into this. We spent some time in this in the beginning, but scope is simply it's a namespace. It's a specific kind of walled off, isolated run area for your code. So there's a global namespace for the way that your code runs. There's a global scope for when you run a file, when you write a bit of code and you run the entire application, there's a global scope for that thing. And in that scope, everything is accessible from that global scope. But inside of this big bubble of things that you're running, you can have smaller pieces of code, functions create new scope, a lot of different things create new scopes. But the code, basically you're creating isolated areas of runtime inside of the main runtime, where the things that are inside of here are not necessarily accessible outside of here. And so we're just talking about how you are going to be careful, how you need to be careful, and how you need to understand how to move data in between different scopes if you need to use it, or you need to make sure data is available at different levels. You need to be aware that there are places in your code where code is isolated, and that you may need to do something or restructure your code to make sure that your data that you need is accessible everywhere it needs to be accessible. But yeah, What about Topcoder? Never used Topcoder. Maybe we can hop on Topcoder tonight. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Topcoder. Design and build high quality software. Yeah, I've never used this before. It's probably fine. It really is probably fine. The reason why I like specifically Code Wars, and I like Exorcism and Code Wars for two different reasons. I like Exorcism because Exorcism gives you a number of things. One, it presents you a full. I like the way that they write their problems and their readmes. So it gives you the readme and everything, and like you know, you're looking at the markdown and you understanding what's going on. But then it also gives you stub code. It also gives you tests. I really love that it's test driven development. So once you understand testing, it really helps you solve those problems. That test driven development. All these kind of are like that, but they give you those test file and test cases right up front. Super helpful. And again, it's local to your machine. The reason why I like that it's local to your machine, again, yes, we do need to focus on the code, but I can't tell you how many developers I've run up against who really struggle from the command line. And yeah, they could make, you know, I know how to make my Node app run. I understand just enough. You know, if you give me the stuff in the README to get my Node app running, I understand how to make a Node app run. I know how to use npm. But aside from that, if I need to get stuff around and move stuff around and do different things, like they really struggle with some of those things. And I like having, I really do think it's important that you are figuring out how to set up stuff locally and make things run locally from your own machine. I think that's a valuable thing. And then also that you can get feedback on Exorcism. You can get feedback from community mentors. Code Wars, I love because I think the number of available challenges and the way that they're ranked. There's a smaller skill step in between the ranks here, whereas Exorcism just has easy, medium, and hard. This has these different has like 7 or 8 different levels of difficulty. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. Let's just hop in. Let's just see what it looks like again, just to get you up to speed on some different things. The stream seems chill as hell, my guy. Absolutely. First off, what's up, Flight Leslie Moon Pie? I already know a little bit about Python, sticking around because it's just common, nice, dope. We're gonna do a little bit with Go actually in a little bit. That's probably what we're gonna be using for the rest of the night. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub, the love, the support. I do appreciate that. I'm glad that I was able to earn that from. I do appreciate that. All right, so we're gonna use Go. You got to log in. You can log in with your GitHub account, I think. And I think I've signed up before here. No, I haven't. So there we go. I have not signed up with my GitHub account before. Let me make sure I'm logged into GitHub, which I am. GitHub account not linked. I will sign up right here at the bottom. And it says, hey, to join, you must prove your skills first. I forgot about this piece of it. So let's see. LeetCode. LeetCode's interesting. And that is something I do want you all to check out. But we'll talk about LeetCode in a second. So we're gonna choose Go for tonight, and I'll choose Go, and we have to prove ourselves first. So let's take a look at this coding challenge here. It says this code does not execute properly. Try to figure out why. Let's take a look at it. It says our package name is multiply. Then it says our function is it's called multiply with a capital M, you know, because that's how a function needs to be in a package here. It takes in 2 things. It takes in A and B, which are both integers, and it returns an integer. All right, that should give us some help here. And yes, the reason why it's not working, we got it, Flight Leslie Moon Pie, is that there's no return here. So it does multiply A times B, but take a look at our code. It needs to return a function. It has to. That part of Go, it's got to return a function. I mean, it's got to return an integer, sorry, because you know, that's what it says. So to solve this, we'll simply return it. All right. And now we've proven ourselves to the Code Wars gods, and we're good to go. And that's interesting. I forgot that they make you do that before creating an account. I find it to be very, very interesting, but no problem. You all already know. Let's link my GitHub account. This will work just fine. Okay, email. You already know my email. Whoops. And let's get on in here. Already taken. You already said, okay, so maybe I have an account. Enlist. Okay, let me whoops. Let me log in, and maybe I never linked it to my GitHub. Let's try this out. Let's try it out. Who knows? Okay, we're in. So I've done a few on here. I think we did it last time we ran this course. I haven't done anything since then. I don't know how to see what I've already done, but let's see. Let's go into the katas. And okay, so you have these things called katas. All right, I don't know what katas means. People talk about it all the time, but let's look it up. What does katas mean? Because I don't know. A system of individual training exercises for practitioners of karate and other martial arts. Okay, so we are gonna do some training now. We're gonna train our brains. We're gonna jump through these mental hoops to get our brain strong. We're headed to the dojo basically and getting good. So that's what a kata is. And they go up in difficulty here. So it goes from in reverse order. So 8 KU, 8 KYU. I don't know if it's U. I don't know what KYU stands for. Maybe it stands for karate, your units. Or yeah, there we go. We figured, everything's got to be an acronym, right? But yeah, it's a ranking. It goes from the highest number is actually the easiest problems. These are the easiest ones. And as you go up, they get more difficult, with one being the most difficult here. All right. So if you were just starting out, there is no shame in sitting in the 8 KYU section and the 7 KYU section. Okay. Just do it. Yes, it's free. It's free. It is completely free. I'm pretty sure I've never paid anything for it. And I've got 2. I've solved 2 problems here. And again, I think it was just on stream. All right. So you can begin to I do find that their classification of some of these problems is a little bit, sometimes can be a little bit weird. But check this out. For just the 8 KU items, there are 49 problems in here for you to solve, okay? 49 for you to try your hand at the easiest level. There are 359 total, but 92 at 7 KU, 130 at 6, 57 at 5, okay? A lot of people who have been engineers for a very long time who haven't gone and done any practice for algorithm problems like this might come in and have lots of trouble solving a 6 or 5 KU problem, or KYU problem. So just don't, if you start to hop into this and you're like, oh, I can't get past this, it can be pretty tough. But do I still need 1 KU skills before people want to pay me? No, not at all. Not at all. Maybe I haven't even looked at a single 1 KU problem, and you know what? Now I got to do it. I got to look at a 1 KU problem. There's only 2. Ooh, oh, I already, look at this. I don't even know, for merge. I don't even know the word. I don't even know the words that are a part of this. You know what? I'm good on this. Let's see. This is a super performance version of this kata. Your test is exactly the same, but time should, okay, so let's look at this kata. Okay, do you see that skyscraper? Look, one man has a collection of some almost identical Fabergé eggs. There we go. Fabergé. So I think I know what Fabergé eggs are. One day, see the last one did not have the it didn't have the E with the accent on top, so I didn't know how to pronounce it. See, visual keys are important, language is important. One day his friend Tempter said to him, do you see that skyscraper? You can tell me the maximum. I'm not even gonna read this. It's stupid. I don't. And that's a 3 KU. But we can start out with the 6 KUs or the 7s, and we can just see how they work, or the 8s, sorry, and see how they work and see how you input data into them. But you're just starting out, hop into Python, hop into Java, wherever you want to hop in at, hop into one of them and start with the easiest problems. And the biggest thing you're going to get out of these is not necessarily to be able to solve the problem. There are 49 of the easiest problems for me to hop in and out of. I may not be able to solve it, but it will start getting you in the process of learning how to think like a programmer, okay? Or think like a developer. The way that you use code, you do need to develop an understanding of how you need to change the way that you think. The way that you solve problems via code is different than how you would solve problems in normal life by utilizing the resources around you. And it does take some time for you to begin to get the mindset of a developer and start to see types of problems and start to understand how to break them down into things that can be solved via code. And I think that's the most important. That's the thing that when people say learn how to think like a programmer, it is you are learning how to take a real world problem and be able to put it into boxes that can be solved via code. That is really what you're trying to do. You're trying to break it down in a way that it's understandable how to solve via code. And it takes time to get there, and it takes you seeing more and more problems be solved for you to get there. So let's hop into right at the top. I'm not gonna pick and choose here. I don't really care. I'm hoping we can solve it. Maybe it'll be too hard. Who knows? We're gonna try it out and we're gonna see this. So the very first one is, do I get a bonus? I actually really dislike this interface. I think there's just a lot going on here, but you can read about it first. It says, hey, it's bonus time in the big city. The fat cats are rubbing their paws in anticipation. So I like this. They are writing this in the way that I would write these, 100%. But who is going to make the most money? Build a function. So they're telling you with their words. So read, understand, build a function that takes in 2 arguments. We're talking about functions tonight. It takes in 2 different arguments. It takes in salary and bonus. Salary will be an integer and bonus will be a Boolean. Very, very useful for us. We're talking about a statically typed language like Go that we need to be explicit about our data types. If bonus is true, the salary should be multiplied by 10. That is a phenomenal bonus. 10 times salary, that's pretty crazy to me, but great. If bonus is false, the fat cat did not make enough money and must receive only his stated salary. Return the total figure of the individual receive as a string prefixed with the euro value, which we're gonna have to copy and paste because I do not know how to type that via keyboard. Oh, well, they tell me right there. JS, Go, Java, so in any of these languages. So we'll take this right here since we're using Go. Cool. We got it. All right, so let's break, we're gonna break down this problem. Just so we're gonna talk about how to do this later. We're gonna do some specifics on breaking down these problems, but let's break down the problem really quick. So we know that we need one. I don't like the green. It's not that's just not my thing. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. So 1, we know that we need, so these are our needs. We know that we need one function, at least one function, okay? And we know that function needs 2 args. Great, phenomenal, very, very exciting. We know that those 2 args need to be, one's an integer and one is a Boolean. Cool. Then we know that we need to determine if bonus is true, then the salary should be multiplied by 10. So that sounds like an if statement here. So we need to determine if bool is true, salary equals times 10. So that's how you write it. That's how I write it out. Make some notes. I find that making notes for my problems like this are super helpful for me. At least I throw them on the page like this. They structure them however you need to structure them. I don't like to really think about it too hard. Just get some information down on the page so that I can see it visually and work through this. Start to now think through, they use a lot of words here that should be pushing you towards knowing what things to use that we've learned so far. So it's pretty helpful. I'd love Microsoft Whiteboard if it wasn't so bad. It's really good. I find Microsoft Whiteboard to be very good, actually, like really good. Just want multiple boards. Like, so you're saying multiple boards at the same time? Like, so maybe, can't you just right click and open it up again, maybe? Oh, maybe not. Can I not open up a second one? Okay, that makes sense. That's fair. That is a completely fair use case. I'm with you. I'm with you right there. Hold on. Export, I'm with you. You know what? I didn't know I wanted that until I wanted it. Middle mouse is a shortcut for that. By the way, wait, a shortcut for what? For like opening up a second window for something? Whoa! Thank you. I'm telling you, y'all teach me so much. I can't tell you how much I've learned from you all. That's made my daily workflow faster. I never knew that. I never ever knew that. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's so crazy because I open up new windows for stuff all the time, and yeah, I didn't know that. So okay, I'm with you. I'm with you in your disdain for Microsoft Whiteboard not allowing you to have multiple windows. That's real. Respect. But I can't get a second window. But okay, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. All right, but yeah, I like Microsoft Whiteboard. It helps me just throw my thoughts down. I even use it on my iPad. Even though iPad has some stuff, I like Microsoft Whiteboard a lot. Whew, that's super helpful. Okay, so we got to do some stuff here, and when you're ready to go, you can go to train, and training is when you're actually doing the kata itself. And so they'll give you the instructions on the left, and then you got to just type it in on the right. Okay, that's all you got to do. You have some options here. You can change the version of the language, maybe. And you can also change the language if you want to something else. If you want to try it in something different, you can also, make it larger. If you don't care about the options, whoa, how do I get all my stuff back? I want to get the restore. There we go. So I'm going to turn on Vim mode just because I'm used to hitting Vim key bindings. I think you can also change like the color and stuff. Like that's gross. I'm not a huge fan of light mode, but it's fine. But I also don't love this theme for the dark mode, but it's fine. We're cool with this. Let's just start building what we want to build here, and let's get going. So we know what we need to do. Let's do some stuff. Luckily, they've already given us they won't always give you this much stub code. Right now, they've given us stub code that tells us the function name, and it already is taking in the values that we need to take in. And now we just need to put our code here, okay? So what is our code? It's already taken in salary and bonus. Let's use our comparison operators to solve this problem. And we can say, hey, if bonus, if it's true, okay? And I never remember if it's capital or not in Go. What's up, Steel Guy? Welcome to the channel. Fanny Sackman, welcome to the channel. ACU, AKU, welcome. Coffee. I like that. That's a really good name. Coffee. Well, that's clever. That's clever because I know someone named Coffee, and now that's how I'm going to start typing her name into things, and she's probably gonna get mad at me for that. But that's pretty cool. Flightless, Moon. Oh, Moon. I never Moon Pie. I'm gonna mess up your name every time because it's the less Lee on there really throws you off. Not gonna lie. All right, so let's do this. So we're gonna check if the bonus, remember it's a Boolean. What is a Boolean value? Boolean value is true or it's false. That's the only thing it can be. So we're gonna check if it's true. And if it is true, what do we need to do? If there is a bonus received, we need to multiply salary by 10. And so how can we do that? We can say salary equals salary times 10. And that's how you could, that would work. That would work. And I spelled salary wrong. But how can we make this a little bit easier? We can use an assignment operator. Remember we learned about those assignment operators, and we can do salary times equals 10. Okay, so what it'll do is it'll multiply the thing on the left by the thing on the right, and then assign it to the thing that's on the left. So it multiplies it by 10, and salary will now be multiplied by 10. All right, and then we just simply return. We simply have to return now an integer. Remember, salary is already an integer, so we can just now return salary, okay? And this is hopefully going to solve our problem. If you stick around and enjoy the content community, please. Oh, thank you. Yes, please join the Discord, even though I've been struggling. But yeah, thank you, Sully. And if you save the file, as soon as you save it, it'll go and it'll try to run, okay? And it says, hey, undefined error true. That's because in Go, maybe true is not capital T, maybe it's lowercase t. That looks more correct. It's lowercase t instead and not capital T. I always mess it up. And so we get some errors here. Take a look. You might freak out and say, oh my gosh, I thought I did everything right. What's the problem? This is where understanding how to read errors and read tests will help you out. This is running against some prepackaged tests. You can actually see these tests, I think you can see the test. I'm not 100% sure, but look at what it had. This is what it expected what we got. So we got 100 and we expected it to equal euros 100. And so now this is going to, this automatically, although this is an 8YKU or KYU problem, you are now introduced back to some of the other things that we learned right up front, the displaying output portion of what we learned. And so now we need to make sure that we can do that. And how do we do that? First, we need a package, okay, to be able to submit output. And we're gonna need the FUMPT package. And well, actually, we may not need that, but it's okay. We will simply return this value. Maybe this actually, we might not need that, but then we would need to, yeah, okay. So what we can do is we can do a format.printf. And just using printf, remember how we can use it to format different things. And so what we can do is start our string here, and the euro, it told us what the euro was over here. Cool. All right, so that's the euro thing that we need here. And then we can do a %d because that is a number. And the thing that we're gonna pass into this is this. And actually this is not, there's probably better ways to do it than passing a print line in here, but it might still work just fine. Build failed, imported, but not used because I did not put a dot here. But this should give us the same value. Too many arguments on the return. That's because of what printf will return. Let me change it to format it a little bit differently so that there aren't multiple things being returned because it is returning this thing. And so just one so that we can see that things are doing what we need to do. If we put this down below and we return it and we run it, whoops. Let's say we return a 0 just for, actually we don't even need to do that. We just need to return salary. I just want to see the output. I want you to be able to see the output because even though our test should still print out the log. So check that out. We have used the format.printf to properly get out the information that we would like to format the information accordingly. But now instead of logging these things out, we need to actually return this actual value. I wonder if we can just turn it into a string and concatenate it. Like, I wonder if instead we can do something like this. I don't think we can immediately just cast it. I don't think casting like this will work, but let's see real quick. I do want to see if this will work. I can't remember and go if casting like this will work. We might have to actually convert it right up front. Cannot use this salary plus type int in return argument, type string, starting salary. Okay, all right, that doesn't work. Yeah, so sprintf, I can use format.sprintf as well, but I think sprintf will also, actually, I think you're right. That should remove the return value sprintf, and let's take this. Oh, this is not liking what I'm doing. Let's actually take this. Cannot use type sprintf as a string as in. Oh, interesting. Hold on. Actually, this is a currency modifier. So I actually didn't even read properly what was happening here. So let's take a look at something. One, the value that it wants out of this thing is expecting an integer as the return value. Okay. That's pretty interesting because it's looking for an integer, but it wants an integer with the individual receive a string as prefix with the, okay. So either there's a mistake with this, or they want us to possibly change this. That's a possibility as well. And so there we go right there. So sometimes there's a couple different things here. One, because these are all written for different languages and stuff, there are issues with some of these. You will run into some that just don't work. And you have the ability to report those things and discuss. And I bet if we went into the discussion, someone would probably say something about this, probably about what we just saw. A bit tricky for AKU. I agree. I think it's a bit tricky for the simplest of problems. Why do I think it's a bit tricky? Because of I think if they're gonna give you stub code, I don't think that they should expect you to change what was already stubbed in there personally. I don't think they should make you change the code that's stubbed on the easiest problems. Personally, because I think your first thought is, hey, there's an issue with the things that I wrote. And we can see here the last line, it says return the total figure the individual receive as a string prefix with this. And it's kind of weird that, like, if they're already giving you code, why would they make that an integer? I think that's a problem on their part personally, but there we go. Okay, perfect. Is that right there in the Golang into string in the comments? Yeah, yep. So there we go. We solved one problem here, and we are ready to, we're ready to move on to the next one. I don't know what attempt, do I just get it right now? Like what? Oh, I submit it. Okay, I'll submit it. When you submit it, you get points for them. I think all of these are worth 2 and so on. So just to give you a little highlight of what's to come. We will be doing a specifically coding cottage challenge on Code Wars, very specifically through the month of March, all through the month of March. So when we're done with this course, you'll have a couple days to kind of relax a little bit, and we'll do a little competition. And you can go through and you have to submit how many points your code kind of has when you go into it, so that you don't have to reset it. If you've already been working with this, I don't want you to have to reset back to 0, but how many points your code kind of stuff already has with it. And we're gonna create a little leaderboard, and we're gonna try to see who can get the most points throughout the month of March. Just to give you, just to go through and have a little bit of fun and see how much you can do. Challenge yourself and gamify it a little bit. There's no requirements. You don't have to do it. You can drop out anytime as you want, but it might be fun to kind of, go through problems with people and try to figure out stuff and see if you can, oh, I got through another one today. And, throw a little smack talk in there, have a little fun. Doesn't really hurt. We'll have some prizes for people who put up, the most. We'll have a couple different categories of points. So that it's not catered to only, someone who's a pro coming through and just doing a bunch of problems to win. There will be a couple different categories, which will be announced as well, that will allow everyone to have a chance to kind of get in there and win a few things. So, coming up. Hackerrank. I hate Hackerrank with a passion. And so the reason, now let me explain. The reason why I hate Hackerrank is not because I think it's a bad site. It's nothing that has to do with Hackerrank myself. I hate that I've been sent Hackerrank problems for role. I have a DevOps, site reliability engineering, systems engineering, cloud computing background, and I've been sent weird development things as a part of my interviews in the past through Hackerrank, which didn't like gauge my comfort level with anything. It was like they just didn't match what the role was at all, which was very weird. So I don't have a problem with Hackerrank as a platform itself. I have a problem with the way that companies seem to be using Hackerrank. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll dive into there nowadays. Maybe I'll get amazing and just start maybe so that we can get some stream sponsors. Maybe we can just get so good at doing Hackerrank stuff, and maybe all these companies that are on here will reach out and be like, yeah, you want to work here? And I'm like, no, I want you to sponsor our stream. Like, please, this is what I want you to do. I want you to just sponsor. Can you just sponsor the stream so we can all be good at this? That's the goal. All right, so let's go to the next kata. Let's try one more 8KU, and then maybe let's jump up to see the difficulty there. Let's jump up one. What's up, Unique ID? Good to see you. I invoked the bonus time from the main function, and that also worked. Okay, that makes sense. But I think you would have had to print, yeah, that works. All right, so let's see. Bit counting, okay. Bit counting, write a function that takes an integer as input and returns the number of bits. We are not going to do this. That's equal into the binary representation of the number. We're not gonna do that only because we only have 20 minutes left, and I would like to get into some harder ones. And while we did talk about bits and bytes and binary a bit, I don't think that I don't want to dive into that. Like that will consume the rest of the time. And again, I want more seat time. I don't think that's super applicable, and I want some more seat time for sure. I love the response there. You know, just gotta share. That's the response. Reach out. You want a job? No, I don't. I want you to sponsor the channel. That's it. Do companies use Hackerrank and LeetCode a lot? Yes. And so it's not always to. It's so I found that a lot of companies that came in contact used it, and they used it to implement take-home tests or coding quizzes that you would do out of their presence. And that's what I've seen it used for. I think you can also just go in there and take some stuff and it helps companies be able to find you. But I've seen companies use it to be able to, as a part of the interview process. And I've seen it a few times. I've seen it a lot of times. I didn't like it because 3 times I've gotten it as part of an interview. There was at least one problem each time that was to develop an entire working solution from a problem they had in their current backlog. Yeah, arbitrary time limits like 4 hours, 24 hours. I despise that Codeplex. I have had that in an interview before. I hate, it's so stupid, it's so dumb. It is the dumbest thing, where companies will actually give you things that problems that they are soon in need of solving, and telling you, you know, I have a whole team of people that are supposed to be working on this, and they're giving it to you and seeing what you can come up with in an arbitrary amount of time. It's trash. It is. I don't understand. So I do think, now take this back, I do think a better interview process is, I think that's okay. I think that utilizing backlog problems are okay, but that is where you have the conversation about it. I don't think there should be any implementation about this at all. And again, I also think it depends on the role. I think it depends on the role as well. But if the problem can be asked where it doesn't, where it can be solved without having institutional knowledge of the company and what they're doing, I think that opens up the door for some good architectural conversation, if the role warrants it. I really hate when there's a lot of application architecture and infrastructure architecture conversations that are happening for roles where it's never going to be the thing that you're doing. Like for entry level and a lot of mid-level roles, yes, the structure of your application might be great, but you likely won't be making big time decisions about the long-term effects of certain types of implementation of these things. And I think it's a weird time to ask those things. Yeah, I don't know. I think the interview questions people ask are very odd, but I would say that using those backlog items to be able to talk about a possible solution is okay, but to have a conversation about it, not to implement a solution at all, but just to, you know, see how far we can get. Let's, you know, what things, and it's not even for you to solve it. It's like, hey, how would you gather information? Like, okay, I'm giving you this problem. How would you start gathering information? Like, let's talk about how, you know, what can you ask me to get more information about this? And you ask those questions and you can start to move down a pipeline. Like, look for the person's thought process. I don't know. People are weird, man. So solve it and then ask for the team salaries. I agree. I do agree with that, for sure. All right, I've got architecture and design questions for entry-level positions. It doesn't make any sense. Really basic stuff like reverse a string and explain encapsulation for senior positions. Yeah, companies are all over the place with this. There's a number of reasons why they're all over the place. One, hiring is time consuming and it's hard. It's very time consuming. It's also very expensive. Like, imagine you have hourly employees. Imagine you have customers and you're putting 2 senior engineers on to, maybe you're screening 8 candidates over the week, and you're putting 2 engineers on them for an hour a piece. And maybe this person's making $100 an hour. And now you have got to charge, it's going to cost you just to interview this person, you know, even if it's 2 people, let's say it's at even $75 an hour, it's going to cost you $150 plus some other things of non-productivity. There's other opportunity costs and things that go into that. these engineers and people who are interviewing you, they're tired of the process. They're coming in with the weight of the rest of their day on their shoulders, and just picking 5 minutes before the interview, they're trying to figure out what they're going to ask you, and they're picking random stuff up off the internet. Like it's a very interesting thing. I don't understand how companies haven't started to put it into more standardized framework for hiring. Find it to be pretty interesting, but yeah. In my fan company, we do not ask architecture questions for anyone without about 2-3 years of experience. Instead of an architecture question, we just ask them another coding challenge question. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. So let's go ahead and let's do this one. Write a function to weird case in Ruby that accepts a string and returns the same string with all even index characters in each word uppercased and all odd index characters in each word lowercase. All right. The indexing just explained is 0-based, so the 0th index is even, therefore the characters should be uppercase. Great. The passed in string will only consist of alphabetical characters, and spaces will only be presented if there are multiple words. Words will be separated by a single space. Pass in, we consist of alphabetical characters. It doesn't tell us what to do with the spaces, if we need to do anything special with the spaces, but it's cool. It shows us an example. To weird case, string returns string. The SpongeBob meme. I was just about to say that. This is SpongeBob case right here. So string returns string with the S, being capitalized. Great. Weird case. You can do this in a couple different ways, a couple fun different ways, but they said something specific up here that we're going to use. Weird case for this. Okay, so the W, the I, the D, and the S, the R, the N, and then the space. So spaces don't count. Okay, that's something we have to handle. Spaces do not count, and I'm glad they gave us that. The index of the space doesn't matter. So we got this is a 6KU. Okay, okay, this is certainly doable, but let's do it. Let's do the 6KU. We got 13 minutes left. Let's do the 6KU. I just thought it was interesting because I was like, if they're gonna make you also handle the space, like it's not hard necessarily, but for what I would consider to be an 8KU problem, KYU, I'm never gonna stop saying that. I didn't think this was an 8 when I was reading it, but this is great. This is perfect. This is certainly doable. Let's do it. Let's hop into this code and figure this thing out. How do I start this? Let's train it. And once again, because we've jumped up 2 difficulty levels, I'm not going to do this in the most efficient way possible. I'm going to be very verbose. I think in this time in your learning, verbosity is key. Verboseness. I don't know if verbosity is a word. Verboseness. Whatever the correct terminology here is for this, I think it can be very helpful in the beginning. Verbosidiness. Exactly. Verbosidiness. We're going to be very verbose here so that we can be very clear about what we're doing. Again, the magic is what I think makes coding very difficult, and utilizing extra functions and stuff that have, kind of encapsulated and have abstracted away some of the things that you need to see, make it a little more difficult to use right up front. We will not do this in the intermediate level. We will not be as verbose. But right now, I think we should be pretty verbose. Not everywhere, but pretty verbose in this case. So let's go through and do this. So we need a function that's already there called toWeirdCase. It takes in a string. It's going to return a string. Already set up there for us. We need we learned that strings are collections of characters. And so we need to run through this character list, and we need to, if the index is even, we need to go ahead and upcase that item. This is interesting, actually. Their wording is different from their example that they gave, and let's look back at it in a second. What's up, Mr. Blue Facts? Welcome. Code in Public, welcome to the channel as well. Panda Major, welcome. Chives Senpai, good to have you again. It's Blackie Chan, welcome to the channel. And is that CG Hint? Welcome to the channel. Methylene, welcome. Codeplex, good to have you. Mac Town's Best, Gotcha. Dehydrated water. Oxymoron. That's what, amazing. I love it. Y'all always come through with the best names. I really do like everyone's name. Man, I missed a lot of these. Bamask, welcome. Still Guy, welcome. Sturm, welcome to the channel. Sorry I missed you all. It's good to have you. We're getting through it. This is gonna be the last one that we do this evening because we're usually out of here at 9 o'clock. So let's go through it. Let's solve this problem. But yeah, we learned that strings are simply collections of characters. So because of that, we can actually iterate through them, no problem. And how might we do exactly that? Let's iterate through it with a for loop. And we learned that in Go, we could do this in two different ways. Because it is a collection, we can use the index, okay? And I think we are gonna have to use the index here. So we can utilize the index and do something like a for each loop using range, which is probably better, but it wants us to use the index. I want to solve this in the spirit in the way that it wants us to use it. It also said that everything that's an even index to do this with. So I want to look back at the example because I feel like this is a problem. Because let's look at the first, so index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, it's 0, sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So S should be uppercase. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So case is in 13 and it's capitalized. All right, so I think that I again, be careful when you're reading through these things. I think that there's a problem here. Appreciate that, Fun Career. What's up, man? How are you doing? Also, if anyone likes some FIFA, if anyone wants to watch some game streaming, head over to Fun Career's channel, give them a follow. You know, I'm terrible at FIFA. I love sports games. Also, I don't know if y'all saw the NCAA is coming back, pretty dope. But also, congratulations on the house. We'll send over. We will absolutely send over something. I saw that, you guys are doing your thing. We'll definitely send over something pretty soon. Just remind me because we're trying to get the house ready for the little one. But congratulations. Definitely want to give you some congrats on that. Absolutely. Yes, they are bringing back NCAA football. They are. It's pretty wild. I'm pretty sure it's real. I saw a posting on it, and I saw a bunch of people excited about it. Pretty sure they're bringing back NCAA football. Yeah, EA posted it. Perfect. I'm pretty hyped about that, to be honest. All right, so let's knock this out in 7 minutes or so. Let's create a loop to first iterate through that entire collection of things. Remember, we can use the indices to see different letters if we'd like. So let's set up a basic for loop in Go, and if we need to make it a little different, we can do this. What's up, Booty Boy? Yeah, hey, nerd, 100% nerd. But the nerdiness gets us the dollars, the gualas, all those things that you care about the most. 100%. We are absolute nerds over here. So let's set up a basic for loop. And let's go ahead and set I equal to 0. Let's set up our incrementer right there at 0. And then we'll say while I is less than. When you are looping, the way that you set up a for loop to be able to loop through a string or a collection is you're going to loop through the collection of that thing. So let's see. Yeah, who in here is not a nerd? 100%. By length of it's funny when you post that, Booty Boy. It's funny to shame Booty Boy as well. You just think about The Simpsons, and that's really funny because I post the nerd meme to a lot of different things in my life. It's pretty funny. Now it's playing over and over again in my head. So you want to iterate through the length of that collection, and using the length function will give us how long the string is. So we can pass in the string like this, and then we can say I++. All right. So this right here will set up a for loop that's going to run for each item that's in the list. And now we can use the counter, the incrementer right here, which is the I. We can use that for the indice for what we want to do. What's up, Bamask? Well, oh, actually, I already got you on there. I got to scroll back up. What's up? It's 4Web. Welcome to the channel. XD Sunday. Good to have you as well. And again, Booty Boy, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Digital, good to have you. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, so 05. So I used to play way back in I always been bad at sports games, but I used to play because my brother used to play Madden and stuff a lot. And so I used to play him. I'm super competitive. I used to play him. But my brother also played NCAA football. He also played in college. So I used to play the game, and we used to drive up to almost every single one of his games. And so I guess this was NCAA like 01 and 02, or maybe 2000 and 2001. And I would, his team wasn't very good, but I would play with his team like to try to win games before going up. I would like play against the team that they were going to play. So we used to drive to pretty much all the games, and we had a GameCube. I had the GameCube, and my parents got me for Christmas a little screen that popped up. So I'd be in the back of the car with a little GameCube and a controller, and I'll be playing a game. Now I usually lose because I'm pretty bad, but it was fun, bringing back all the nostalgia for sure. All right, so we got this set up, our for loop setup, and now we need to check against the indices. So let's do it how they're talking about, even though I can already tell there's going to be a problem with their output unless their example is incorrect. Let's code it to what they're saying rather than their example output that they have here. And so we need to check if there's so many different ways around this, but let's do what they said. We need to check if their indice is evenly divisible by 2, if it's even or odd. So we can say if I mod, remember modulo is what we can use. If I modulo 2 equals 0. If it equals 0, that means it is evenly divisible by 2. Remember, what does modulo do? Modulo divides and then returns the remainder. So it divides. So if you divide 10 by 5, you would get 2. That would be the answer if you just divided it. But there's nothing left over. So when you do modulo, the answer of 10 modulo 5 or modulus 5 is 0. You get no remainder because it goes into it evenly. If you did 10 modulo 4, what would you get? If you did divided by, you get 2, but there will be a remainder. There will be a remainder of 2. And so if you do 10 modulo 4, it goes into 10 twice, but there are 2 left over. So it returns the remainder rather than the actual value. And so if we do I mod 2, we do in fact get 0 right here. And then that if statement, is going to determine whether or not code runs. If that does do this, then what do we need to do? We need to uppercase that thing, okay? And so I almost want to make this even more verbose, and I actually think I have to make it more verbose. I do. And so we need to make a new array. We're gonna make an array. We're gonna make a new collection, a slice, to be able to build our new string out of here. And the reason why we're gonna do this is because although a string is a collection in Go, you can't change the individual value. And let me show you that real time. Let me show you how and you might be able to do this in Python, and let's check both languages. Let's check how both of them work. So let's go to the Go playground, and we'll also go to the Python interpreter. And so right now, if we set X equal to, this and that, the string this and that, and we want to reference one of the values, we can say X at index 4. Okay, so index 4, actually let's not do 4, let's do 3. X at index 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3. This will print out the letter S. All right, if we print out this index, when we save this, format, run it, this will print out 115. It'll print out 115 because that is the ASCII value. But if we stringify that, if we cast it to a string and we run it, it's S. That you should also take that into account just now. When I tried to reference it at its index, it gave me a rune. It gave me the ASCII value rather than the actual letter. And so we get an S right here. But if we try to change this value, let's say we try to change, let's say we try to do X at the 3rd spot is now equal to a different letter. Let's say we try to change it to 6, the string 6. It says, hey, you cannot assign to X3. It can't be done. Even if you try to assign a number value to it, it says, hey, you cannot change this thing. It's a collection, but it is not, you can't just change a character like that inside of Go. We have 2 options for this. We can do 2 things. We can either split up the original string. Okay, we can take the string that's passed in, we can split it into a string of characters, into a slice of characters. So instead of having one thing, we can do I think we can just do now x equals strings dot split. I think this will work. I'm trying to go off of memory. All right, and if we now print this out, this might be right. Undefined strings, import, and we try to run it. Cannot use string split x type string as type string in assignment. Oh, actually I can just format that print this, can I? I think I can just print this. Yeah, okay. So if I split it up, the reason why it didn't work before is because this is a different data type, but this is actually a couple different things. This is actually a list or an array, not an array, a slice of individual characters. That's why they're split up like this into different pieces. The reason why I couldn't assign it to that value in the way that I just did it is if I do this again, I need to change it because X is a string. This can't work. So I've assigned it to something new like Y and print out Y, and this will work. Okay, so we can either do that and then iterate through this collection. That's one way to do it, or we can start a brand new collection and start to add things to it. I'm gonna do that just because we are started doing that, but just to break down kind of what's happening here. So we're gonna create a new collection. So we're gonna say final, we're gonna say make a string called a variable called final case, and or actually let's call it case collection. That's fine. Whatever, case collection, and we're gonna create this, and it's gonna be equal to an empty integer slice. So int, a slice of integers. This is how you create an empty slice of integers, empty collection of integers. Immutable strings catch so many people during interviews, 100%. Definitely something that can catch you. What's up, Ricardical? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. All right, and so now that we have this collection here, we are going to determine if it's evenly divisible by 2. We are going to put it, we're gonna do an append function. So we're gonna say now case collection is now equal to append. Append is the function that allows you to be able to add to a collection, and we're gonna add to case collection. And what are we adding to collection? What are we adding to case collections? We need to add the uppercase version of something. How do we do that? And that's where you can go to godoc.org. And this is a part of the, anytime you want to manipulate some strings, you can go to the strings package and notice that there is, we did this before, but there was that upper function or to upper function right here. So we can do a to upper, where is it? To upper function, which is going to upcase basically whatever we pass into it. And we're gonna do that with individual characters. All right, BPez, you know, go get that sleep for sure. See you later. Thanks for coming through. All right, so now that we have, we can use the string package to do this. And so the append function that we have here is going to say, hey, into the case collection that we have here, go ahead and input this value that we need to put in right here. And so I'm gonna call strings dot to upper on the current letter that we're currently on, the current character that we're currently on, which is going to be string, but at whatever the counter's at. So it's going to be str, and it's gonna be str at, this is actually really confusing. It's gonna be str at I, okay? But str at I is a rune. It's actually gonna return back an ASCII value here. So we actually need to turn this whole thing into a string. This is, I actually don't think this is gonna work. Let's see, we might have to do this in a couple different steps. And I might actually spread this out so that it is more verbose, because this is actually confusing. This one-liners like this make it pretty confusing. And so I might turn it into more lines of code to make it a little clearer what's happening. But what's happening is right here, We are determining if the current index is evenly divisible by 2. This will tell if it's even. So 0, 2, 4, 6. This code will run right here, okay? This code's gonna run. And what we need to do is when it runs, we're gonna add to our case collections list, and we're gonna append to it the uppercase version of the letter. The way that we do that is through the strings.toUpper. And again, let me show you kind of how this works in the Go playground. If we want to return the strings.toUpper. Actually, we may not need to do that, actually. So glad I found this. I graduated in May 2019 and haven't been able to find a job. This is great for staying in the loop. I love it. Phenomenal. Yes, that's pretty good. I'll let myself out. That's actually really, really good. Glad you found it. Also, congratulations on graduating in May 19. We should have our first couple jobs coming to the stream very soon, because jobs are important to get you introduced to those companies and get you set up with those companies. So keep an eye out. Thank you so much, Ricardo, for the Twitch Prime sub. That's love. I do appreciate it. Like I said, keep an eye on some things very, very soon, like within the next probably 2 weeks. We will have jobs coming to the stream. Companies will be interfacing with you all to be able to get you all into roles. There's gonna be a lot around surrounding that coming so soon, so soon. Graduated fall 2020. Congratulations. First time on the stream. Seems cool. Thank you, Chaotic Dude Zero. We're here to learn. Today, you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays right now are the coding stuff. Mondays, Wednesdays are the DevOps, SRE, systems, things, cloud focused stuff on Mondays and Wednesdays. And on Fridays, it's specifically cloud computing with AWS if you want to come through. My company is hiring, by the way. Can I show? Yes, always. If you're new here, anything that's going to help the community, if you have resources, if you have, if you find things that are going to be helpful, if you have roles, whatever, share them here, share them in the Discord, hit exclamation more Discord. You can share them there as well. What's up, Condish? Good to have you. Please do those things because the goal is to help each other out. It's not to, hey, you got to come see my content. I don't care about that. I want you all to get rich in tech, or not even get rich, just find something fulfilling to do. Tech is really important, and the way that we use tech is important. We need as many people as possible in it, you know, contributing to it to make sure that we can use tech in the right ways, so that hopefully we don't end up like all the Terminator movies, to be honest. But yeah, why is everyone acting like we need to learn Golang? We don't need to learn Golang. I am not. I do like Golang. I'm not under that impression at all. But it's an amazing first statically typed language to learn. So that's why we're doing that stuff. Do you do any AWS Glue or Spark stuff? I've done a little bit with Glue. We probably should do some more with Glue. I never did anything with Spark at all. But I've done like, I deal with AWS pretty heavily. So yeah, never dove into any Glue stuff. Maybe we can check out some of that stuff. Haven't used it yet. But yeah, there goes some jobs. Excellent. 3 labs. I like it. Check it out. Y'all, remember I was telling you, apply. It's okay. You never know. No matter if you think you're ready or not, apply to these things. You probably are much more ready than you think you are. What's up, Dumawi? Welcome to the channel. Ratch Bunny, good to have you. Welcome to the channel. Golang is pretty neat, in my opinion, coming from a dynamic language. Yeah, I agree. So let's, actually, I might have lied to you. We might not need to do that, this strings piece. So the reason, actually, this is not where strings should go. I caught it before I did it. There we go. See, you know, that's good. It's not that I need to convert the whole thing, because strings.toUpper returns a collection of strings. But the thing that's being passed in here, it can't be a rune. It has to be an actual string. And there we go. That looks a little better here. Wait, close this, close that. All right, so I think that's gonna be good. So this whole line, we need this whole line again. We need to copy this, basically. And, I forgot we're doing Vim key bindings. Yank it. So if this happens, we need to do this. If not, we still need to append to that list. We still need to get everything in that list, but the else needs to go here. And instead of appending the uppercase version, we are simply going to append the actual character itself, which is simply string I, like this. This is all we need. Close and close that out. All right. this might be what we need. Now that it's together, I think it's gonna create what we need. I don't know yet because we haven't run this yet. I think it's gonna create what we need, but we need to put the string together again. Now that we've put it into a collection, we need to return basically the whole thing. Wait, what is matching up with this? This matches up with this. Okay. Where's this one here? Else, I'm gonna remove this for now. All right, so now that goes through, we need to basically return the whole string put together, and let's let's complete string. Let's make a complete string right here. And so this is gonna be another string method here. If you're not familiar with all of these things, there's a join in here, I think. Strings.join, which will take all of the things that are in this list and put them all together. All right, and just put them end to end. So right here has an example. We have a slice of strings that has foo, bar, and baz. And if we, they're all separated, but if we wanted to put them all together and we run this, it's going to make a singular string that's foo, bar, and baz. But if we wanted to join them together, it's going to join them together with this separator right here. If we wanted it to have no separator, we could run it like this, and it's going to put foo, bar, and baz end to end with no spaces in between. And so we want to utilize the same exact thing right here using this. And so what we can do is we can do, to complete our string, we can do a strings dot join. Is that it? Capital J. Yeah, strings dot join on it. And the string that we want to take in the case collection, this is gonna have all kinds of problems on the first run. And we don't want to separate anything. And all we want to do now is we want to return complete string. That's all we want to do. Simply return that complete string, and I think we're good to go. I actually don't. Here we go. There's our code. This is actually much easier for us to see now and see what we're doing just fine. And it looks like we're having some problems here with the, wait, 1, 2, open, 1, 2, oh, 3. Okay. It seems like something's missing here. 1 open, 2 open, 1 open, 2 open, 1 open, 2 open, 1 open, 2 open. There's definitely a problem in here, I think, but we'll see in a second. Extra square bracket. Oh, thank you. Okay, there we go. I was like, okay, on both of them, because I copied and pasted. I was like, there's definitely a problem, but I couldn't see with my eyes what it was. So let's go ahead and do this. So we have some syntax errors, of course. Line 9. Let's see what the syntax errors are. It looks like the same thing. Missing syntax error, unexpected closing thing. So, oh, actually, this is the problem right here. 2 upper, that's a problem. And down, okay. So let's do that. Let's see if that fixes the one error. All right, build fail, syntax error on line 8. So on line 8, it says expected, unexpected new line, expecting, comma. Okay, so let's open again. Line 8, open, strings.to upper, which takes in open, open, open. So I need one more. Let's just make sure it's syntactically correct before we can start to identify the rest of our stuff. So now line 17, good. This is why it's good to run your code over and over again. So we probably need another closing thing here. Ooh. Missing return it into function. Oh, that makes sense. Hold on. Let's actually look. Let's actually look before we do this. Before we just start making changes. So open, What does this close? Okay, that closes here. So it just needs to be here, I think. I think that'll close out the for loop there. And then the return is here. No. Let me indent it one. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, it is here. It's here. It should be in the same. See, this is why you need to use your own editor. This is why I don't like using their editor, because it doesn't have everything that I need inside of it. I'm gonna, let's see if that works. Appreciate that code with Sean. I really do. Thank you so much. Let's see, undefined strings. Oh, I didn't do imports because they don't do imports for me. Am I using fumped at all? I'm not fumpting at all, so I can just import strings. Let's see. Yes, these, I know, we saw it. See, so there's now an opening. That's me? Yeah, that's me. Amazon. If anyone from Amazon is watching Twitch, I know you're an Amazon company. If you ever needed a great CEO, it would be me. All right, let me tell you why. One, I purchase things off of Amazon often. So who better to run Amazon than a user of Amazon's resources? Not only do I purchase lots of packages off of Amazon, I also am very familiar with your cloud product, which brings you in lots of money, very familiar with it. And so therefore I am fully equipped to run it, the entire business of that thing. Okay, that's number one. Two, I purchased many books from you in the past when you were a lowly book selling company. That's also, that shows my loyalty, that I was in early and that I was very, very good at supporting a business. Three, I have a lot of friends and, I know how to have a conversation with people. And that is really ultimately what a CEO needs to do. And, I think those are three top tier things that it should at least get me into the consideration for being the new Amazon CEO. And yeah, I love to talk to you more about exactly why the other reasons make sense as well. I have to go think about them first, but 100%. Thank you, Steez, for believing in me enough to give me the space to nominate myself in this position. Hopefully they will hire me. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Definitely let you know how it goes. Honestly, if I was Bezos, I would sell. How much more money can I possibly need? Facts. Like, I just don't need, I don't need that much. All right, so cannot use strings.toUpper type string as an int in append. Okay. So yeah, we're doing something wrong. As an int in append. That's why I was trying to turn it into a string, because string I did it. Did I do it again? No, that's right. That's right. ToUpper. That should have turned it in. I was hoping this would turn it into a string already. I hope I don't have to convert it. I hope I don't have to convert it. I don't think I do have to convert it. So it's basically saying that, which line is it actually? 10. Yeah, so it's basically saying I cannot use ToUpper string type string as a type int in append. Oh, never mind. Now I'm tripping. This is why. I said the type of the collection was going to be integers, which is not going to be, well, it could be integers. Actually, that might make our lives easier. That might make our lives easier. It'll clean up the code. But we'll wait. We'll wait a second. Let's see. We got standard error here. Undefined complete string. So where's that at? On line 15. Line 15, complete string. I obviously spelled something wrong. Complete string. Yes, because I've never defined it. So, okay, there we go. And this will at least get our code to run, I think. I think our code is runnable now. Undefined complete string on line 20. Return. Oh, okay. This is because, so we just talked about this. We just talked about this problem right now. First, let me ensure that it's a spelling issue. Not a spelling issue. Cool. The reason why we cannot return this is because it's the scoping. We just talked about this earlier. I'm trying to access it in a place that's not scoped properly. There's like 8 different ways you can handle this. Honestly, I could actually put my return in there. I could also do something. I could also just make it up here. And what do we call this? Complete string. We can call it complete string, and you know, I can say var complete string is of type string. Then down here at the bottom, you know, I can just set it equal to that. And that should remove our case problems at least. But we're gonna, okay, so this is good. This is phenomenal. We are actually getting some things out running every time. Every time I say, actually, you wanna drink? Yeah, let's do that. I will get you wasted. You will drink a lot. I will actually get you drunk very often, actually. Okay, we should play, you know, one day, if you're over 21, maybe one day we'll have a weekend session where we do a little bit of, you know, partake in a little bit of spirits and have a little bit of fun while we're trying to, you know, learn how to code. All right, so now we get some stuff to run. We actually get some values. This is helpful because now we can actually see the logs. It got capital A, B, C when it should have gotten just A, B, and C. So we are returning, you know, we are upcasing things. We are absolutely uppercasing things. It seems as though the problem is this if statement because it uppercased everything. All right, uppercase every single thing on here. All right, so it got A, capital B, capital C, when it should have got A, capital A, lowercase b, capital C. Let's see. If I mod 2 equals 0, go ahead and run this. If not, go ahead and run this. Okay, so it shouldn't uppercase for anything that is not okay. So let's get a little information throughout this. We can actually put in some probing functions or probing statements to figure out what's going on here and see what's happening. I'm 46, but my mind likes to believe I'm 21. I love that. That's very, you know, that's how you got to live. I feel like I'm 22 every day. You know, a little bit older than 21, but you know. All right. Oh, I love old fashions. Huge fan of old fashions for sure. That's dope. I really am going to, I do enjoy beer, but I think I'm going to get off of the beer tip. I tried to get into whiskey at the beginning of the pandemic and, you know, really want to see the game, but I would really rather to save myself some calories and stuff. I really kind of don't want to drink a lot of beer because I don't drink a lot of beer now, but I want to save the calories. And you know, I think it would be cool to learn how to make some fancier beverages that I can partake in every once in a while. Get myself one of those cool little ice makers. Make it very exciting. Absolutely, I would love that, and I would return the favor immediately. That would be great. I really do like old fashions a lot. All right, so let's see what's happening here. Let's put in a little probing statement. Maybe before we do the last piece, let's see what happens. Okay. Hold on. I think we're causing some issues here. This, here it goes. One, we're putting together the string before it's done. I don't necessarily think that's a big problem, but it might be a big problem. We'll see that in a second. Let's move this complete string out of the for loop. Right now it's currently running inside of the for loop. We do not want this in the for loop. We want this outside of this for loop, which ends, what is happening? Where are we making? Oh, the for loop ends. Where's the for loop end? Right here? Okay. Well, that seems weird. Let's X out of that. I don't know why this is like this, but okay, whatever. This feels like it needs to be, oh no, that's in the right spot. It just looks wrong. We need some lines here. We need to be able to operate in our own stuff here. And we could just return this, but again, I was trying to be pretty verbose here in what we were doing. Okay, but we still get capital A, capital B, and capital C. All good, good to go. Requirements said if you have a lowercase the odd indexes, I remember correctly. Oh. So it's passing in uppercase. Okay. See, that's what you got to read. It accepts a string and returns the same string with all even index in each word uppercase and all odd index lowercase. Okay. So just to make sure, it doesn't really matter. I think what's happening is my assumption when I built this is problematic, is that you're going to give me all lowercase stuff, or something like that. And if they give me capital ABC, I'm not doing what I need to do, but it's okay. I can simply change the else to be able to downcase, to be able to, upcase to upper, to lower is what we're going to need to do that. So thank you for bringing that up. Congrats on making partner. Thank you so much, Map. I do appreciate it. Yeah, her name was Lola. Yeah. Jefferson Ocean. It's really easy on the palette. I will look that up. I absolutely will look that up. Got to run, but thank you for the streaming. Sal is great. Thank you for coming through, NR. Welcome. Yeah, we're finishing up now anyway, so we're gonna be out of here as well, because your boy gotta go eat some din. That's what dinner's called. I really don't know why I always wait until after the stream to go eat. It's always exciting to do. So we'll do the same thing that we did up there. We'll make this a 2 lower, so that it kind of matches what we have, and let's make sure things look good. So there is a 2 lower function. I think it's called to lower. I hope it's called to lower, and we'll save it. And okay, so now here is the problem. Here's where I feel like I knew we were going to run it. I knew we were going to run into this. I knew we were going to run into this because when we added it up before, it's a problem. The issue, it has to do with the spaces and how it's handling the spaces. The code says even indexes are capitalized, odd indexes are lowercase, but it looks like they're not. That's not the rule. The rule is every other, it's capitalized, it starts with a capital letter, and it alternates every index, skipping spaces. Spaces don't count as a thing. Here is from what I'm seeing. So you can see R starts to be right in the very beginning. R starts to be correct until we get to a space, and then it is wrong. So this is what we got. This is what they expected. And the reason why this is what they got is because it says, hey, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd. Oh no, that's actually right. Even, no, so mine's right. So mine is right. But theirs is even, odd, even, odd, even. This I is an odd index. That I is an odd index, and it's problematic. I bet you in the discussion, there's somebody talking about this, at least. Yes, they gave us, this is a problem. Our test cases, Python language are not correct. So they're not right, but we can get this to pass, okay? We can actually get this to pass. How do I get away from this? We can actually get this to pass really fast by saying, by not doing, So yeah, what about space? Mr. Moonslam, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it, really do. Yeah, what about space? So the test cases here are incorrect. We did what they asked us to do. Their test cases are incorrect, and people are letting us know this in the comments, that this is an issue, that is very problematic for this. The kata is wrong. Sometimes it counts spaces, sometimes not. So it sounds like we may not actually be able to fix this, but this is a working implementation of what they wanted. All right. This is a complete working implementation of what, of having the even index items be capitalized, the odd index things be lowercase. And so essentially, don't worry about the code itself. You can implement this in any language, but notice what we did. We iterated through the characters in the string, and we built a brand new string based on those characters. So depending on the index, we use that index item, the index number, that location, to determine whether or not it should be uppercase or lowercase. And then we built a new string based out of those things and returned that brand new string. There are 15 different ways we could have done that. 20 ways we could have done that. There's so many different ways we could have made this work. But this is this is the implementation we came to by just putting stuff together. Do a split, so you just deal with the words, not the spaces. There's a problem with that. Okay, that's fair. And then if you do that, so it'd be harsh if you do that, that works. So you could split up everything on the spaces. And so then that means you only have to deal with managing the words, and you can create a little function that does the actual uppercase, lowercase, and returns those things. The problem with that is, then if you deal with the words only, you either have to do a nested for loop, or you have to figure out a way to keep the index when you move to the new word. Also, you're gonna have to do two, you would end up having to do two joins. You would have to join to put the words back together, and then you'd have to join to create the individual words from the letters. Then you'd also have to do a join to put together everything with the spaces in between. And so I'm not sure. So split could work. Like, so if we split it up, it would end up turning into, basically the first thing it would turn into was, let's say the string was something like this. Let's say the string that was passed in was equal to, hello, my name is Aaron. All right, if we split it, we could split it on the spaces, and what we would get is, we would end up getting an array or a slice that would be, hello, my name is Aaron. All right, that's good. That makes it super easier to work with. The test case always has the upper first letter. Oh, so that's where they got their test cases from. So that'll solve, okay, then maybe that actually might work for the test case scenario. That makes sense. Hold on, let me go back to, yeah, that actually does make sense. Even index words, maybe that's where they got it from. Maybe, that's interesting. Yeah, that'll work then, because then what needs to happen is we only need to worry about doing it per word. We still have to, so the problem is also that you still have to split these up. You still have to, if you want to change the individual letter, because you can't just reassign, it's immutable, you can't reassign that index. You still have to split these up and then put them back together, and then put the whole thing back together. But I think you are, if that's the case for the test cases, I think you are right. Can I see the test cases? That would help a lot, actually, if I could see the test cases. Let's look here. I don't know how to see it. Oh, is a sample test. Let's see. This test looks like you passed to equal. All right. Yeah. You're right. For this one, you're right. It does look like they upcased. They did this per word rather than for the entire string. Yeah, that would work. But then we would have to do that twice. Interesting. So that would get it to pass. You're right. That's cool. That would definitely work. And that would actually make the code, we could make the code a little bit more modular, by basically making not only would we end up making a split function, we could make a function to specifically split, even though we have a function to split. We could pass that in with we could put a wrapper around the split function, and we could also put together a function around the join, because it's something that we would have to do twice. Yeah, that is something we could do. Good catch by looking at the test. But cool. This is an implementation. I encourage you to try to do some of these things. Also notice how much more difficult a 6U was than the 8U. I mean, I don't think this was super difficult, but there is an increase in difficulty. Go check out a 5 or 4U and see how much more difficult it gets. They do escalate pretty quickly. But hop in, start to try to do them. If you can't solve a single one, don't sweat it. It is valuable to be able to just read the problems. Yeah, it's valuable just to be able to read the problems and to go through the process of thinking about how you might solve it. And then when you do that, you can actually go see answers. Sometimes you can't always see answers. But I think if you're on like 8Us, I think you can see the answers as you get in there. So like, let's say I tried to test, I think you can go to, I thought there used to be a see solutions button. I thought. Oh yeah, right here, view solutions by other users. You can click it, I think even when you're not done, and reading through the problem and attempting to think through the solution. And then even if you get nowhere, even if you're like, I have no clue what to do, if you go to try to look at someone's solution, now you're also practicing looking at code and seeing if you can break it down in your head and like, okay, maybe I see what they did here and like, how can I figure out what happened here? And it's super helpful. I like you did the upper and lower the way that you did. Don't have to care what case gets passed in. Yep. And so that, the way that you handle it can be completely different. And yeah, so we handle it so no matter what, it will be fine. But yeah. Cool. That's it for tonight. We just dove into a few different things. On Thursday, hold on. On Thursday, we're gonna be diving, that's not calendar. I feel like we're doing something special on Thursday. I'm trying to think. We're definitely doing something special on Thursday. I'm trying to remember what it was. What is this? Decoded and Apprentice. Week 5. Oh yeah. We're doing some more coding problems, but we're gonna dive into. We're gonna do a Git deep dive. We did an introduction to Git. There is so much more you haven't touched with Git. We're gonna dive into Git pretty heavily. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a whole little like guided Git work through as if we were working on a team with people, so you can really understand merging and rebasing and understanding really understanding how to read the history of a repository and how to figure out how to get yourselves in and out of jams. That is what we will be doing on Thursday. So yeah, just come on through if you're ready to do that. Tomorrow, if you want to do any type of infrastructure as code, tomorrow we're doing CI/CD stuff inside of pipelines. So if you want to learn GitHub Actions and understand how to what CI/CD really is and how to set those things up and how to go about the process of creating these kind of pipelines, come on through, check us out. That's what we'll be doing tomorrow. And yeah, I think that is it. That's all we're doing this week. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Appreciate all the new folks. Hello, nice to meet you. Hope to see you again other days on the stream. Now we're about to head out and we're about to raid someone and take you all over to somewhere else. And well, that's very loud. So let's see. Oh, Learn with Leon. Guarantee Learn with Leon is about to get off. Also, no, we always hit Learn with Leon as well. Let's find some. How to get in a jam, put your code inside a OneDrive directory and try to switch branches. Oh man, that sounds, I never even thought about doing anything like that. That sounds very interesting. I like that a lot. We might mess around with some of that. We definitely might mess around. That's very interesting. Those are real life use case. Oh, that's very interesting. Because I understand why you would want to put it in OneDrive, why you would think you could put it in OneDrive, and I also can immediately see why it would. Yes, what file? I also can immediately see why it could kill you. That's very interesting. I never thought I would try to do that, but I probably would try to do that. That's very, very interesting. All right, cool. Let's head over to. Yeah, let's go to Strager. I haven't been over there in a while. Yeah, let's head over. I'm cool with that. Thank you, Sully. I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely head over to the Discord. Thank you, Sully, for being the arbiter of the Discord. I really do appreciate that. And again, thank you very much, Just Cool Pool. It's been a long time in the making. Thank you all. Thank you all for helping make this come true, making Partner come true. We've built this community together. I really appreciate you all. So yeah, everyone have a great night. Let's go ahead over and raid Strager. And I'll see you all tomorrow or Friday or Saturday. We do office hours. This week is office hours, and that's what we'll be doing this week. So peace out, everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you, Gamer Crab. Thank you for the kudos. I appreciate it. Everyone have a good night. Peace out.